Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown, Joe Dehls, and this is now episode 301. In this episode, we are going to recap episode 1 of Hard Knocks, talk about the criticisms on Eric Bieniemy right now, question whether or not Trey Lance is a bust, if the Seahawks are dark horse contenders, go over the Cardinals' options if they have the chance to draft Caleb Williams, and talk about the Rams' direction. As you guys can see, 3-panel show today. Drew is in Europe.
Bro was in Switzerland. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, Drew is in Europe right now. He's in Switzerland. He just landed this morning.
Yeah, facts. He's there for, he's got a wedding out there. So
Yeah.
shout out to
He's
Drew.
getting married.
Yes.
Him and Ali are getting
he
married.
proposes?
Huh?
That'd be a tough proposal.
It would be fire. Like, they go have their little proposal, and then all of a sudden, Drew's like, I have something to say. And just travel his D's.
Nah,
like,
at the same wedding's crazy. But just while they're out in Switzerland or wherever they're going to.
yeah, somewhere, climbing up.
He'd shock all of us because we haven't heard.
Yeah.
But one of our boys just got married. Shout out to our guy, Jer. He just proposed to his girl, engaged, I should say, not married, in Cancun. Very nice video. Yeah. They had it was on the beach. It was all set up. It had like a "Will you marry me" neon sign. They had like a dinner outside. It's real tough. My first friend to get engaged.
Nice.
My first real
next?
friend. No, there's like 5 people above. Out of our friends, there's like 5 people above the list. You're up there too.
You're ahead of me. Your relationship is longer than mine.
Is it?
Yeah. You're a
I've been
year.
dating for like a year.
I'm not a year yet.
No,
Only
but
a year
you
to
also
November.
had a past
No,
relationship.
we're not
so
doing that.
We're gonna count both of
We're not
those.
doing. We're not
gonna
doing
count
that.
both of those.
You're ahead of me. I think he's behind me. What do you guys?
I am
He
behind.
is.
I'm at 7 months right now.
Oh yes, he's a couple months behind me. Yeah, my shit a year in November. So.
But now I have Max is ahead of me, Frank's ahead of me, G's ahead of me. I got a lot of friends
Frank's
before
ahead of you?
Potentially.
Well, Frank, you know Frank.
Yeah.
Frank's been with it. Yeah, we're not.
So you potentially have a lot of weddings coming up.
Yeah, facts.
Joel
I'm
could
happy.
jump ahead of both of us.
Nah, Joel for sure. Like if we had betting odds right now, even
You're the
though
favorite.
Joel's only been 7 months, he might be the favorite.
He'll be. I think a year and 7 months is when he gets married.
Yeah, this time next year
A year and 7
he
months.
Or maybe
proposes.
2. Yeah. You're the betting favorite for sure.
Yeah,
The odds are on you.
Plus 200 odds.
yeah, calm too. Calm too.
Talking about betting, Mojo has brought us back for the 2023 NFL season. But what's different about this season that is so much better than last season is that last year they were operating as a sports book. This year it will be a sports book, but they also will be operating as a DFS application, daily player prop contest with real cash prizes. You can join the wait list right now. Link is in our bio. And if you join the wait list and you refer a ton of people, you will have the chance to win 2 Super Bowl tickets. But just by joining the wait list alone, you will have a chance to go to any NFL game you want. They're going to cover the tickets plus travel. And I think that's a great deal. Just for joining up the wait list, I think that's pretty
That's
awesome.
easy.
It's free.
Run it up for us, man. Get those referrals up.
Help
Trying to
me.
Help
please.
us. You guys helped us with the contract year. We got re-signed. This is one of our biggest incentives. Get this wait list numbers up, man. Come on.
And, it's going to be available in 30 states, California, Florida, Texas, 3 of the biggest ones. It'll be available there. It won't be available in New York or New Jersey, but New Jersey's lucky because we have the sportsbook aspect of it.
Yeah, we have
so if you're in New Jersey, the
going long
sportsbook
and short.
aspect will stay the same. It'll be available in Illinois. There's 30 states available, so chances are there's a 50% chance it will be available in your area if you're within the United States.
Give or take.
Over
I
50%.
guess if you have all those big states,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
over 50 because like Nebraska or something. I don't know if it's legal there.
Over 50%. So, yeah, go download Mojo. Join the wait list. Link is in our bio. We'd heavily appreciate it if you do that. And today, we have a
You
jam-packed
take
show.
your shoes off.
Got comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, got comfortable.
Talking about the Cardinals, had to get comfortable. You know what I mean?
My gosh,
Like,
man.
Talk about your guy,
Uncomfortable.
Kyler Murray. Talk
Come
about
on.
how he might not be a Cardinal next year.
Wherever he's gonna be next year, he's gonna be loved. He's
You go wherever he goes.
for sure. I have no reason to stick with Arizona if Kyler's gone. I don't think anybody
You
does. Yeah, they're not good. But
We have a jam-packed show today.
you
But-
lied
but
to me.
first-
You told me it was short.
I didn't say it was short. When did I say it was short?
You said it was short.
No,
I said short
didn't
show.
say
He
it.
said yeah.
Well, we do that every time we walk into the store, whether it's a 2-hour show or 3.5
definitely
hour
are
show. We
right.
say
Here
it's
we
a
go.
short show.
The first topic we have to talk about is New York Jets, Hard Knocks.
That's tough.
They were on Hard Knocks. Yesterday was the premiere, 10 p.m.
Why did you guys get
Did
picked?
you lock in?
No.
Okay.
No shot in hell I locked it. Why did you guys get picked though?
We didn't want to get picked. Well, I think there was only like 4 or 6 teams eligible because you need to have like, you have to like not make the playoffs in X amount of years. You can't have a rookie head coach. There's like all these stipulations. You can't be on it in the last decade. So it was like us, the Saints, the Bears. It was like whack teams with all due respect, and the Jets who
And you guys didn't want to be on it?
Nah, nobody did.
Why'd you get forced?
Because nobody wanted to be on it. Like the Commanders were a team too. Like
so
none of them came up, and they chose. And of course, they're going to choose Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. You know, the biggest story of the season.
What do you mean? The question was, Riv asked, "Why were you picked?" We were picked because we have Aaron Rodgers. We're the New York Jets, baby.
What, the Bears and the Commanders? Nobody wants to watch.
It was Bears, Commanders, Saints, maybe.
The beginning of Hard Knocks gave me chills.
It did.
Joe Namath, the Jets. I mean, we were back in the, was it the 70s or the 60s?
Namath was 69 when we won.
69. Back in 69, I mean, the Jets
My dad was
buzzing.
Mets won too that year. Wish
I
was around.
That would have been fire for you. That would have been elite for you that year.
The Jets were buzzing then. And, you know, watching Hard Knocks, of course, the first episode was all about Aaron Rodgers.
Crying.
What he means to the Jets, what he means to the team, what he means to the players, specifically young quarterback Zach Wilson. How he's going to develop him, mentor him into a great quarterback one day. But that's the thing. You know, I was really surprised I wasn't surprised by it, but the admiration everybody around the league has for Aaron Rodgers. Al Woods saying he's special. McCole Hardman came up to Aaron Rodgers and was like,
he was acting like a fan.
He was gushing over
OD.
Aaron.
That's my guy.
McCole?
Remember last year I had a little McCole.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
But I don't know about you, Dehls. But my biggest takeaway from Hard Knocks was I like that the Jets are embracing these expectations. We're not shying away from it. Robert Saleh made that analogy about a crow.
That shit was tough.
Fighting an eagle.
Tough.
And what an eagle does, an eagle doesn't try to fight back with the crow. You know what an eagle does? He flies high and he soars.
Us.
So above in the skies that the crow cannot get him no more. And, you know, I was thinking about it. And he was like, that's the Jets.
A crow bites
He said, we're going to be an eagle.
The crow is the only animal or bird
eagles?
that hunts eagles.
Really?
So the eagles spread their wings. They fly as high as they can. The crows suffocate. They hold on till they suffocate, fall, and die. And Robert Saleh was basically saying, we have all these crows pecking on us. We don't got to worry about them. Just fly high and let the rest be the rest.
Every day. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like that we're embracing these expectations because, I mean, it's no secret that everybody wants to see us fail. They think we're the 2022 Broncos. And, you know, I was thinking about this too. Thinking about what each party has at stake. It's not just Aaron Rodgers going to a new situation. He's accomplished, doesn't have much to really play for anymore. I think when the Broncos traded Russell Wilson was already established. He went to Denver. He got a brand new contract. He was treated like a god in Denver when he first arrived. Right? He got his own office. Everything was accommodated to him. Aaron Rodgers, right now he's coming to the Jets with a lot of scrutiny in the media. People thinking he doesn't have it anymore. Even after he won 2 back-to-back MVPs this last season, because of this last season, people are saying he doesn't have it no more. But also because if he finishes his career with 1 Super Bowl, people will knock him for that because he should have more given how talented he is. He comes to the Jets, a team that hasn't made the playoffs since 2010. We both have a lot at stake. And every single message Aaron Rodgers would send in Hard Knocks, they would, you know, people would go up to him and say, these fans are really embracing you. And he was like, yeah, so far, we got to win. Every sentence ends with, we got to win. It's about winning. And that's why I think this team, they're going to win.
It's ready.
They're going to win.
Win what? Win what?
Playoff games, meaningful games. The first game ever in history against the Eagles.
Yes, sir.
No shot that happens.
We're getting that one.
No shot that happens.
It's going to be the first time. You know, I thought back in 2011 with Mark Sanchez, we would have beat them. We didn't beat them back in 2011. I think that was a game. They blew us out that year. That was a dream.
Last time we played them, 2011?
Yeah. It might have. No, not the last time.
Wins, if I'm not mistaken. A couple years ago. I'll look it up.
Once, probably ugly year for us.
Yeah.
It always is.
That episode was great. They had one Jets drive, which is basically like the Jets social team put something together on Monday, but they spent half the episode with Aaron Rodgers just on a golf course, just asking him questions. At least this week, saw some actual football. I thought Robert Saleh was instantly not a surprise star of the show. It was one of the first, takes he had, one of the first scenes when he had that crow and eagle analogy, and you saw everyone was just locked into him. Aaron Rodgers, you saw him kind of hint at a smile. It was also really dope. They had in the opening credits, they had like Joe Namath throwing a pass and Aaron Rodgers throwing a pass and kind of merged together into one. What else? You also had Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson definitely had a little swagger to him. He was hitting jokes on Rodgers because I noticed it too. The first preseason game, he had no sleeves on. He had no swag on, just very bare. And it kind of looked funny. So Robert Saleh and Rodgers, like while Zach is warming up, they're talking about it, like, oh, look at him showing off his guns, this and that. And Zach Wilson goes up to him. He's like, yeah, well, the guy in front of me's got nothing to show off, so I figured I'd do it here, right? So you saw he's getting a little bit of confidence back. He threw that 60-yard bomb. He's like, that's a dime and a half, right? Something like that. So I love the swagger out of Zach. And just all of the guys just embracing Aaron Rodgers. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is doing this purposely. Like, I think he genuinely, this is who he is as a person. Yeah. But we know the last couple of years in Green Bay, he got scrutinized, not just, I guess, last year because of his play. 2 years ago, of course, he won MVP. But a lot of the off-the-field stuff and to his fault, because he was not always being the best leader, especially to young guys, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs last season. He was always hinting at retirement and never giving that full commitment. That's one of the reasons why Tay moved on. But he really seems to be 100% locked into this Jets team. The young guys see it, the vets see it, and they want it to be known that the Aaron Rodgers you've seen the last couple of years on TV, that's not who the guy is right now in New York. Sometimes you need that change of scenery. You obviously have a bunch of talented guys around you. The expectations are very high, and the fact that he was with one organization for 15 years, once you get that breath of fresh air, especially being in New York, that could change you. And I think that's what happened with Rodgers.
I looked it up. You said 2011 was Mark Sanchez year, right?
Yeah.
We beat you guys 45-19.
I know. I remember that game.
The last close game we had was 2015. 2021
that was Fitzpatrick year.
Yeah, 2021 we beat you out 33-18. That was the last time we played you.
What was the score of 2015?
2015 was 24-17. It was a good game.
That was our last competent year, really.
We shut you out in 1977.
1977.
Yeah.
New York Sack Exchange. Was it that year? Probably not. Look at me.
Beats me.
70s or 80s.
I'm a post-2000s Jets historian. That's what I am.
Also, the scene of our DC up there talking to the defense.
Jeff Olbrich.
Jeff Olbrich.
Legend.
And he's like, this is fantastic defense, guys. Like, everyone was covered. There was nobody open. And Aaron Rodgers just throws his, like, back shoulder, a ridiculous ball. And he's like, there's like two quarterbacks in the world that can do it. We got one of them. And everyone just sitting there smiling because the defense was perfect. But Rodgers put it at a point that nobody can get to. Kind of shrug your shoulders. What are you going to do about that?
And I think that's what this team is showing right now.
Locked in.
What do you got to say, Ref?
I don't say anything.
He hasn't watched. He has to lock
I'm not locking into that. If my Bears was up there, I would have locked in.
Of course you would.
You're messing out.
Hard Knocks.
Got Sauce, Garrett Wilson, Saleh, Rodgers.
Maybe I'll watch it. Maybe I'll watch it tomorrow if I have some free time.
They had a Cardinals one in midseason last year.
I never watched it. I didn't tune into that.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, it's not happening.
I think the most important thing about the Jets and Aaron Rodgers specifically is that I think the team, as well as us just watching it, how the ball's coming off his hand still is elite.
It comes.
You can tell he's still an elite thrower.
Yeah.
The arm strength, the accuracy, the power he generates is there still, and everybody notices he's still
got
that type of quarterback.
Saleh, basically every time he's throwing the ball, Saleh's oozing. I'm like, he must have been through hell last year. All due respect to Zach Wilson, because he saw that defense he had, top 3, top 5 unit in the league. That offense wasn't catching up, and now every single training camp, it doesn't matter if it's a 5-yard out. He's like, damn. Every time Rodgers is completing the pass.
Defense used to stop in the offense. He'd be like, shit.
Yeah, he's like, let's get a first down and maybe get some rest at least.
Work from here. That Texas and Zach Wilson, man, it always pops up. I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited though because I love controversy. I love chaos. So this could go either really bad.
No matter what happens, it's gonna be a topic, right?
It's gonna be a topic and it's gonna be fun. So I'm excited for you guys. Expectations, man.
I was surprised we had no Dalvin Cook footage.
I feel like if he signs or when he signs, they'll release it that week. They'll have like the.
Is it like an every week thing? So they'll just
for the next 5 weeks, I believe.
Oh, only 5.
They turn that around quick. I don't know how the fuck they do that, bro.
I thought they do it for a season.
They be grinding.
No, it's just training camp.
Yeah. Cool.
It's just the off season, and then
week
preseason
6.
They cover each game of preseason, and that's it.
Week 6.
Week 6 versus
Eagles.
Oh no! Don't forget now.
That's the week before our bye.
Yeah, we had to New York and stuff. Week 6.
So week 5 is the Broncos. Week 6 is the Eagles.
Week 4 is the Chiefs.
Okay. Yeah.
Not great.
You can go in 3.
Well, the Chiefs one will lose, but then the next 2 will win.
Okay.
You lose to the Chiefs.
You
Hey,
should
listen.
have heard him on BR yesterday. You weren't here.
What do you say?
Flaming Jalen Hurts. Just
Why?
being real disrespectful
I was
towards
being
Jalen
You
disrespectful.
Hurts.
flaming the guy that went to Super Bowl? Why?
He's
I
being real
wasn't flaming.
disrespectful,
It's
man.
We just said between Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts, who are we
That's
taking?
not
So
what you
taking
were
Joe
saying,
Burrow.
bro.
Respectfully.
That's
What'd
not
you
what-
say,
that's
though?
not
I mean,
what
I
you
can
were
go
saying.
watch it if I, I can just go watch
Just know that all I was saying is a bunch of truth and facts. And what they were saying,
That should be your answer.
Is-
All you got to know.
all
you
they were
capped.
saying, they used just one Jalen Hurts game, the Super Bowl, to justify taking him over
No,
Burrow.
it. The best
we
game of, well, not the best, the most important game
First
of
of all,
life.
we didn't do that, but regardless, we don't have to get into
Most
it.
important game is life.
Yeah. We'll have
Matter.
plenty of Jalen Hurts discussion when we do the NFCs.
Yeah, that'll be next week, I believe, or in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Drew
We
has
want to
be here
wait for
the
Drew to get
episode,
back.
yeah.
So
Why?
because he has half
he has
his
that
teams are in
Giants
there.
bullshit
Giants. He
agenda.
likes the Cowboys.
Yeah, him having a Giants jersey on during that
I
stream
think
was
now
nuts.
that Zeke is not on the Cowboys,
know.
he doesn't like the Cowboys.
Yeah, I still got to make fun of him.
being a Zeke guy is nuts. Okay,
So is he going to follow Zeke? I saw he's interested. The whole basically AFC East.
Dallas
the
said they're
past-
still interested in him.
Yeah, the Jets too.
I guess they just wanted him
I
back
don't
for
know.
cheaper.
I wouldn't mind him on the Jets. A goal line back, short yardage back. That's
It's
really
good
what
pass
he'd be.
blocker.
Yeah, that's really what he'd be. It wouldn't be anything else.
Well, he's nothing more. So
The Commanders were a team that could have been on Hard Knocks. And
Could have been.
if they were on Hard Knocks, maybe we would have seen some of this be on full display. There's been some complaints within the Commanders organization that Eric Bieniemy is too intense of a coach. And Ron Rivera came out and basically said, you know, yeah, guys have came up to me and they've told me about it. And then after that, he said, he just told the players that it's about understanding him and talking to him because Eric Bieniemy is a very upfront guy. I don't know about you guys, but Eric Bieniemy, one of the biggest knocks was that he's a bad interviewer. And I can see how that intensity rubbed off owners, front office members the wrong way, and that's why he wasn't hired as a head coach. But I do think that Ron Rivera made a very weak move by throwing Bieniemy under the bus by saying that players have come up to him complaining about the intensity. And I say that because all Ron Rivera could have said is, have you looked at the offense the last couple of seasons? We need a boost of intensity. He didn't have to go in depth. He didn't have to say that players have been coming up to him. He could have kept that private, and I think the team would feel much better that way as well. The truth about Bieniemy is that, is he an intense, old-school coach? He is. But for me, as long as it's translating on the field and they're getting results, the Commanders haven't been top 20 in points per game since 2017. They clearly need something different. And I think it's a lot of players complaining about something when we haven't seen actual results yet. And I think when it comes to Terry McLaurin, who's a leader on the team, he has been very vocal about his support for Eric Bieniemy. Jahan Dotson came out and said that he wants to be coached hard, and that type of coaching will make him a better player. So for me, I think that Eric Bieniemy is getting the short end of the stick. And he ultimately said that it's his responsibility to get his guys to do what he expects them to do. So when he gets on them, it's because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing to their full potential. And I think he's kind of getting the short end of the stick right here.
I don't.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, thank you. And it's also his responsibility to set the tone when you come into training camp. You got to set the tone as a coach. And I think Ron Rivera, he could have just said, no comment. We want to keep this in-home. That's an in-home comment. That's something you keep in-house. You don't say it's like my players are complaining about my coach. That's something you shouldn't be saying. You keep that in-home. And for Eric, coming in with that intensity, like you mentioned, Washington has been a middle-of-the-pack to below-average team for the last 3 to 4 years. You know, they have the talent on offense. They've just never had the quarterback. Defense, they got some stars out there. Eric wants to bring a different energy, a different vibe to the team, and that's respectable. Sometimes, you know, some players don't respond well to that, but you can't knock him for trying to bring some intensity to this team, especially in that division. You got Dallas, you got Philly. That division just breeds that tough rivalry. You know, you got these guys fighting for their lives. They want to sit here and they want to win. So I think Eric, you know, like the way Ron Rivera and the players handled that, I think it was a bit of wrong. I do think bringing some type of intensity to the game as a football player and bringing that to a new team, I think that's extremely dope. I think for players like Terry, Jahan Dotson, the best players, you got to bring that to them because I feel like Washington needs that bit of a spark or something to like just change the gears of a team because this team has been mid for a couple years now. So you want to bring something different. And I think that like that's not a good look in training camp in the offseason when your coach is not starting out really good with the players and not connecting with the players. And I feel like as a coach, because I remember, like, funny story, quick story, I was a coach. Like, I coached for, like, this high school playtime team, and you got to kind of meet a middle ground. You know, you got to find out what your players like, how your players want to coach. Because if you're new, you got to kind of bring some different type of energy. So me, I'm a mellow guy. So I come in, I bring my mellow energy. Players feed off that. Players who like you get to know them. They feed off their energy as long as they know you, they know where you come from. So Eric, being intense as he is, and the players are kind of complaining about it, I feel like the disconnect is they just don't know each other enough, and that's where the team bonding comes in. Because if you know your coach, you know you want to win. It don't matter how intense he is. If you know where he's coming from, you know he got your back. I feel like all that doesn't matter. So I think Ron handled that poorly. I think the players in general are handling poorly. And you got to understand he's coming from a different background, a different environment. And you guys need a spark anyways because you guys have been mid for the last couple seasons.
I don't think Ron Rivera was trying to throw him under the bus. I just think he probably had a moment where he slipped up because,
came out wrong.
Like Riv said, that's something you want to keep in-house. And I'm not even sure, do you know what the reporter asked him or like how that even got brought up? Because I'm sure the reporter didn't know that there was players complaining, right? I'm sure he asked something about the offense or whatever, and he kind of brought it up on his own. This is also a pretty young offense too, right? You have Sam Howell, who's going into year 2. You have Brian Robinson going to year 2, Dotson year 2. Terry, is a bit more experienced, who is the leader, like Joel mentioned. But you also have just a new, because all of the OCs that came before him, maybe didn't work out or haven't worked out, but also they didn't have a quarterback, right? You go through the list of quarterbacks they've had over these last few years. There's a reason why they haven't been top 20 in scoring. And Eric Bieniemy, who got a lot of flack, like you mentioned in the interview process. Also, that was interesting that, and maybe it's nothing, that in the quarterback documentary, we saw no interaction between him and Mahomes. Like, we saw more interaction between Mahomes and Matt Nagy than we did Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe he's, offense coordinator. He doesn't do as much on game days, but he preps more, whatever it might be. But I found that interesting that I was almost excited to see how Bieniemy acts behind the scenes since he has gotten this bad rap. But for the most part, players, whether it was the Chiefs or the Commanders now, have backed him up. And it's mostly been, I don't want to say fluff pieces because there has to be some truth to it, but it's always just been media reports saying he didn't interview well or the players didn't get along with him. But everything you see up front is Bieniemy's been a good guy for the most part, from what we heard from players. So this could easily just be from 1 or 2 guys that went up to Ron Rivera. It could be 20 guys love him and 2 guys don't like the way he's coached. So when you have all of these guys, especially a bunch of young players on this team, you kind of have to, like Riv mentioned, find that middle ground because not all coaching styles is going to work with every player. Some players want to be coached hard. Some players want to know exactly what doing right and wrong in every other play. And some players are more laid back, like, hey, I've been doing this for years. I know what to do. You don't have to scream at me like I'm a high schooler on JV or whatever. But at the end of the day, whatever happens with this Commanders team is going to be up to the quarterback. If Sam Howell is a bust, Bieniemy's not going to look good. If Jacoby Brissett is whatever, Bieniemy's not going to look good. I thought it was a unique situation for him to join that he's had years after years of positions to take, and he took this Commanders job that doesn't have really any stability at quarterback, probably doesn't have much stability at head coach. If this is the team that misses the playoffs again, I know Ron Rivera is well expected around the NFL, but this isn't a head coach like a Mike Tomlin who could be under 500 for 3 years and he's fine. If he continues to struggle, he could be out, which means Bieniemy's out of a job. So it was a unique situation to go to. I was never a fan of it in terms of if I'm an Eric Bieniemy fan, I don't want him to go to this situation where he could be out of a job in a year. But I think at the end of the day, it could just be 1 or 2 bad eggs that are kind of putting this out there in the media.
The question was, have players had to adapt to Eric Bieniemy's intensity and have any struggle with it at times? And Rivera said, yeah, they have. And one of the biggest things is I had a number of guys come to me and I said, hey, just go talk to him. I said, understand what he's trying to get across to you. I think as they go on and they talk and they listen to him, it's been enlightening for a lot of these guys.
And I also think that's weird. I think, like, going to step over instead of just going to talk to Eric, like, yo, I feel like you being a little too intense. You go straight to the head coach, kind of step over Eric's foot. And I feel like that's where you lose the trust. You got to build that relationship. Like, if Dehls is my coach, and he up screaming at me in practice 2 days straight. That third day, I'm going to go talk to him in the morning like, yo, Dehls, I feel like, you screaming. I'm a man. You don't have to scream at me. You can talk to me a certain way. I want to win. You want to win. It don't be Dehls screaming at me third day. Oh, hey, yo, Rivera, Dehls keeps screaming at me, and I don't like the way he's doing it. He's too intense. I feel like that's you shouldn't do that. You go build that respect, build that relationship, talk to Eric, and tell him this is not how you want it to go.
And if Bieniemy can't have that conversation, that's a huge red flag as a head coach or his OC.
And Bieniemy has said that his door is always open, but if players don't want to go to his door, it possibly means that he is doing a little bit too much and it's excessive. And LaShawn McCoy is somebody who played for him with the Chiefs back in 2020, I believe, when they won a Super Bowl. And LaShawn McCoy said that Eric Bieniemy would curse players out. But a lot of players that came out and said that made them better.
Yeah.
Like there's this report from Matt Derrick, who is part of the Pro Football Writers of America Association. And back in 2013, when Kansas City hired Eric Bieniemy, Jamal Charles went to Andy Reid and said he couldn't stand him. By the end of Charles' career, he credited with Eric Bieniemy for making him a better player.
I think that happens all the time, right? Like I think I wasn't on any like team that was really hard coaching me, but I just think of like professors I've had, teachers I've had, or even like parental figures, that are really hard on you for something you got to get done. At first, nobody really likes getting screamed at, but at the end of the year, if he's gonna make you better, you're still gonna respect that and be like, you were one of my better head coaches, even though at the beginning I didn't like you. And if they have a better relationship with Ron Rivera, I know it might be overstepping Eric Bieniemy, but I don't see at the end of the world if like Ron Rivera's my boy, we just hired this guy, let me go have a conversation and see what he has to say. It's on Ron Rivera to not bring that up to the media. That's his fault.
That's where he had a major mishap. For me, results are ultimately what matters to me. I want to see what happens with Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett, who's going to win that quarterback battle. I think Washington has a lot of great weapons on the outside. Terry McLaurin is the top receiver. I think Curtis Samuel is underrated. Jahan Dotson has a lot of potential. He can be a great receiver as well. They have the talent. The quarterback position is what's just been holding them back for years now. But ultimately, if Bieniemy gets the most out of his team, then these reports are not going to matter. But if the Commanders fail offensively once again, then I think this could put the nail in the coffin and him truly getting a head coaching opportunity. Because I believe, he chose Washington to flex his muscles a little bit and see, watch what I do here. Yeah. Watch what I do here. Watch what I can do, and to give him more of a resume to be a head coach.
Listen, they were 8-9 last year. It feels like they should have been like 5-12, because we think of the Commanders as just a terrible team. I mean, they were 2 games behind the Giants.
They always
were in love with the
7,
Giants.
8 games.
That's a fact. It is a fact. That's why Ron Rivera is just like, he's just been good enough, because they've been to one playoff game under him. I want to say the game they lost to the Bucs with Taylor Heineke.
Great game.
It was, that surprisingly, it was a great game, because it was an ugly game, honestly.
Great, ugly ass.
Yeah, it was like 16-13 or whatever.
Heineke, he's on the Falcons now.
He is. Yeah. Might be playing quarterback at some point this year, to be honest.
Screaming at that.
My fault.
Desmond Ritter, he's violating your boy.
Desmond Ritter could play.
He could ball.
He just said Tyler Heineke,
baby.
Nuts.
Here we go.
All right. Mojo NFC Breakout Team. Now, we did this for the NFC South. We're doing this for the NFC West. So we have the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, and the Rams up here. And we have 4 players for each team and their share price. And we're going to talk about which players we're going long on Mojo, which means you think the stock price will go up.
Is it ever in doubt who's the quarterback?
Is it ever in doubt?
What are we thinking about here?
Who's the NFC West breakout quarterback, Riff?
Is it ever in doubt? It's Brock fucking Purdy, man. Are we not? We gonna lock that in?
Brock Purdy, because don't get me wrong, I like Kyler more, but Kyler's $52. Brock Purdy is $11.69.
Kyler will miss the first 9 to 10 weeks. Maybe like 8. At minimum 8.
At minimum 4.
Okay, we'll go 4.
Interesting fact about Brock Purdy.
You might as well just keep him out.
Brock Purdy on Mojo costs $11.69. The 52nd ranked quarterback, below Zach Wilson, Hendon Hooker, Blaine Gabbert, Trey Lance, Gardner Minshew, Chad Henne, and Case Keenum.
He's below Zach Wilson? No.
Yeah, he's below him.
Fun fact, I found my Mojo account.
You found it?
It's on Zari's phone.
Oh, why?
I don't know. You never clicked forgot password or anything?
No shot.
Oh, you're insane.
I actually have stock in Brock Purdy, though.
Oh, you do?
I do.
How much?
I don't know. I do. I have. It was Brock, Jettas for sure.
Fields.
It is Fields, and it's one more person.
AJ Brown.
No.
I remember
It is Smitty. It is Smitty. Yeah.
You say at the Eagles.
I did have AJ. Smitty. It was like in the playoffs or like a week before that. Yeah.
I think Brock Purdy went up 13% today. I don't know why. The other day, Trey Lance.
You texted me that. Yeah.
The other day, Trey Lance went down 16%.
I heard he was like having an up and down camp.
He's for the most part.
So I agree with the Brock Purdy pick because the Seahawks, Geno Smith is $30. Kyler's $52. How much does he play next season? We don't know. Matthew Stafford is $94. He's pretty much capped out. Yeah. So basically, it's between Brock Purdy and Geno Smith. And as long as Brock Purdy is with the 49ers, he's going to be successful, and he has the most potential for return. So quarterback, NFC, West Mojo Breakout team. We're going with Brock Purdy at $11.69. Running back.
This running back spot is tough, man. I'm checking what Charbonnet is because I don't love the price of any of these guys we got listed.
We got CMC at $21, Kenneth Walker at $10, James Conner at $12, and Cam Akers at $8.75.
Charbonnet is at $6.95 right now. The issue we have is Christian McCaffrey is the highest paid running back on Mojo, $21. Kenneth Walker is good value at $9.77, but he has an injury. He hasn't been practicing. They drafted Zach Charbonnet round 2.
Charbonnet the guy?
He's a pass catcher and he's a goal line guy. So I don't know. I don't love that. James Conner, I've never been a big James Conner fan. A Cardinals team that's going to be terrible this year. And Cam Akers, who I'm a fan of, but I don't know. I mean, last year he requested a trade, and then he came back. He was good the last 4 weeks, and this offense don't know what it's going to look like.
Charbonnet.
I would go with Zach Charbonnet. I think for the price, and I love Kenneth Walker. I do think he's more talented than Charbonnet, but I don't think he's going to get the workload to really see his share price increase.
Kenneth Walker is a 29th price running back. He's below Kenyon Drake. He's below Jamal Williams, David Montgomery, Miles Sanders, James Conner, Latavius Murray.
James Conner had like 12 TDs.
I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker here. I think even if he doesn't have a fantastic season, let's say he gives you 800 rushing yards. Last year he had 1,000. He was close to it.
He missed games.
Did he have 1,000?
I don't know. I'll check.
But last year, Kenneth Walker was definitely in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
He had to have had
and he didn't even play the entire season. So if he can get 1,000 yards, I think he can
10,
definitely increase
10,
that
50?
share
And
price.
15 games.
So 1,050.
Yeah, 9 touchdowns.
He barely cracked 1,000.
Zach Charbonnet, I think, is good value. $6 is definitely good value for Zach Charbonnet.
I do think Walker is the more talented running back.
Yeah, I think Walker in a month, the injury is not as serious where it's going to keep him out of action. In the regular season, he's gonna get going.
Fingers crossed. You just never love to see a training camp injury, especially soft tissue. I forgot what exactly he's dealing with, but I want to say it's some sort of soft tissue injury. You don't love to see that in training camp because that usually lingers.
I understand you, Dehls. I understand you. But
knows?
he's dealing with a groin issue.
Yeah, you hate to see that.
They don't, yeah.
He was hurt last year, too.
You can't dictate when your groin is actually healthy. You just got to kind of wait.
Well, I mean, I will say this. If Kenneth Walker is injured, then Zach Charbonnet's price automatically balloons up off of just the opportunity
That's what I'm
alone.
saying to make money.
Listen, man, preseason, we're a day away from preseason games actually starting. Kenneth Walker hasn't practiced. It's not great.
All right, we'll go with Zach Charbonnet for the running back position at $6. So far we have Brock Purdy and Zach Charbonnet. Now for our 2 wide receivers, we have a lot of wide receivers in the NFC West.
It should be Brandon Ayuk.
I like that.
I like
You
that
should
pick.
be
Number one should be Brandon Ayuk.
We're doing a flex.
We can do a flex.
2 wide receivers.
Okay, but we're doing a flex.
You want to do a flex?
We can do a flex.
Because you know who I want throwing the flex.
Van Jefferson?
No, fuck. I like Ayuk.
Michael
He's
Wilson?
he's like on the like if we had a breakout team, it's like 5 spots. He's like 3.
So currently on the wide receivers, we have Debo, Ayuk, DK, Lockett, Hollywood, Michael Wilson, Cooper Kupp, and Van Jefferson.
No shot. I'm touching Hollywood.
I like the Brandon Ayuk is my breakout NFC West wide receiver. I think Brandon Ayuk's gonna talk himself into the top 12 wide receivers, the top 12 in the league. He's that
Tough
good.
list.
He is really good.
The thing about it is that the Niners have so many offensive weapons with CMC, Kittle, Debo, also Ayuk. Jawan Jennings?
That's your guy.
He definitely is another one. Third down.
That's your guy.
Third down. He can do
Jawan Jennings.
Jawan Jennings can do his thing out of Tennessee. Have you seen him with the Volunteers?
Look at all these random guys. What the fuck?
Jawan Jennings was good.
This guy.
He's made some timely plays, but Brandon Ayuk, to me, I think has the talent to be a top 12 receiver in the league. He's just in an offense that has so many mouths to feed that the production might not be there. But Brandon Ayuk is the best receiver on the Niners.
Agreed.
Between him and Debo, I don't think it's relatively close when you talk about route running. I think Debo's one of the best yak receivers in the league. But Brandon Ayuk right now currently is a 40th price wide receiver. He's below Hollywood Brown. He's below Drake London. He's below somebody that's overrated in Jerry Jeudy. He's below Debo Samuel. He's below Juju, Christian Kirk, and Robert Woods. Brandon Ayuk can be a top 20 price receiver.
You got
12
is nuts because there's the guys at 12. Then there's like the guys coming up like Olave and stuff like that, Waddle. And then it's like 12 is like a real long. it's like a home run hit. Like I think 15, 20.
This might be a hot take just because the production is not equal. I think Brandon Ayuk is a better receiver than Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think a true number one.
Amon-Ra's top 12.
I think you can
probably
make a
top 12 on a lot
debate
of
for
people's
him.
list. People love Amon-Ra.
I feel like he's like top 15 to be safe.
Ayuk is more explosive.
The route running he's probably better route runner.
Amon-Ra's a great route runner too, though.
He is.
Because that's how he's winning.
Yeah, that's how Ayuk's winning too, though.
Yeah, but
Ayuk
he is. I feel like
he's a dog.
Yeah,
he's big, physical. Oh, God.
he is. I love Ayuk. I feel like I was saying that
volume.
last year that he's a better route runner than Debo. You're just
I
a
love
big
Ayuk.
Debo guy.
You are a Debo.
No, I love
guy.
Debo, but Ayuk, I've always been high on him.
Yeah.
I
he
love
was in the
Ayuk.
doghouse his first year or
He
two
was.
with Shanahan. He wasn't
Because I feel
able
like
to
the
show
back
out.
end of because I feel like when we get to 7-8, that's when like D-Hop, AJ Brown gets brought up, right? But then like the back end is like CD.
Ayuk is a better receiver than D-Hop right now.
I feel like when healthy.
Yes,
You think so?
D-Hop's pace last year was nuts, bro.
he was, but he was also getting peppered with targets.
He was.
He was the only receiver getting targeted in that offense.
Well, don't you think he would do much better if he didn't get force fed with targets?
No, I think
he'd be
that
more
he
efficient.
he played much better because he did get
the
forced fed with
production
targets.
was there.
Yeah,
is what
the
you're
production was there because
Oh,
he got forced fed with targets. With Ayuk, everything it's all about opportunity because Debo can be open, Kittle can be open, CMC can be open. When Ayuk's winning, it's because he's winning first. And he's really beating his man. I think just in terms of, we look at D-Hop and Ayuk.
So you don't think D-Hop's top 10 no more?
Nah, I don't think he's top 10.
I don't think he's top 10. He's top 20.
Top 10 receivers to me are high-level, number one true receivers.
Like, I think Waddle's comfortably over him.
That's fair. Waddle would be like the 8, 9, 10 range.
Yeah.
And then you got like CD,
Smitty's
Smitty's right there. Like I
yeah.
think Ayuk is like maybe 3-4 spots away from them. And that's why I say top 20, top 12 is like
15.
Yeah,
Top
15 is
15.
firm. That's what 15 is safe.
He just hasn't had. If you watch Ayuk play, you could talk yourself into being top 15. He needs to get the production to match his
'Cause
talent.
the top 10 guys have the talent and the production.
Yes.
When I watch Ayuk play,
I get it. Here we
I
go.
think he's in the same tier as Smitty.
Like, he's never at 1,000.
He's in the same tier as Waddle. All those guys you're mentioning, he's in that tier.
I think Smitty's he's Smitty. You said Smitty? I think he's a better receiver.
I think
Smitty?
Smitty's a better receiver
Comfortably.
too.
I don't think he's comfortably a better receiver than Ayuk.
I think he's
He had
he's a
1,000
better
last year,
route
my
runner.
fault.
You
Hey,
think
listen.
I think Smitty's one of the best route runners in the game.
1,000's pretty
so?
valid.
Ayuk is one of the best route runners in the game.
Smitty's also.
Ayuk is truly like
Smitty's
top
hands is
7
very
anyway.
underrated.
No, I
Wait,
agree.
Smitty's a top 7 route runner.
I think Ayuk's a better route runner than Smitty. I do.
At this point we're just
I do.
picking. You
I mean,
know?
I understand. You could pick your guy. All I'm
think
saying
I-
is that Brandon Ayuk is that type of guy. I
Well,
think
well-
last year he had, what,
He had
1,000 yards?
1,015,
Well,
yeah.
Devonta,
And how many games?
Smitty's also that type of guy
17.
with the production.
Got 100.
17
He got
games.
114 targets last year. He got looks.
1,015 yards, and that's with having Kittle, Debo. To be fair, not all of them
They
at the
missed
same
games.
time were in
Yeah.
the offense.
You want to play the offense game with Smitty?
They're both in similar type of
How many
offenses.
targets did what's the name have?
Ayuk had 114.
114. Let's see.
Did Smitty have 1,100 receiving yards last year? Or he,
1196. 7 TDs. He had 136 targets.
So he had, what, about 20 more targets than Ayuk?
Give or take, yeah.
I mean, listen, I think that they're similar tier receivers. If you
Shout
want
out-
to take Devontae Smith, that's fine.
Shout out to P2W Fantasy. I saw this tweet a few days ago. He put together when Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle and CMC were all on the field together. Debo and Ayuk were averaging the same amount of targets, 6.7. But Ayuk was getting the more valuable targets. He was averaging 59 yards per game. Debo was only at 41. Kittle was down at 44. CMC was down at 42. So when they were all healthy and on the
Ayuk
field
is
together,
still getting the targets.
Ayuk was getting about a little less target or about the same targets as Debo, but more receiving yards, more touchdowns.
Well, we all know he's better than Debo for sure.
To me, with Ayuk, like Dehls said, it's really just about the eye test and watching Ayuk. He's an effortless route runner. His release is as pretty as it gets. He has surefire hands.
He's got great speed.
He has yak ability. He has great speed. There's just a lot of things to like about Ayuk, and I think he gets underrated because he's not in an offense that force feeds him the ball. And especially with his first couple of seasons being in a doghouse, the reputation and recognition for Ayuk isn't as there as other young receivers because he hasn't been as productive for a plethora of years like these other receivers.
And he has Debo on his team, and everyone's looking at the Niners saying Debo is the wide receiver 1, so Ayuk just gets thrown into he's one of the better wide receiver twos on his team. And to start his career, I mean, rookie year, 750 yards, year 2, 830. And this previous season, he cracked 1,000. You know, that's great growth you see year after year, especially when you bring context that his first year, he only played 12 games. He was in the doghouse. Year 2, he was in the doghouse to start the year. He played all 17. And in this past season, even with all of the quarterback change, with the other, dominant receivers he has, and Debo, and Kittle, and CMC, the best receiving back, he was still able to put up 78 receptions, 1,000 yards, and 8 touchdowns.
But I think he's easily the receiver that we got to take here.
I like it.
Just because he costs less than Debo. He costs less than DK and Lockett. He costs less than Hollywood Brown. And, we're not going to take Van Jefferson. And Cooper Kupp is kind of a bit over. He's at a fair price right now, but, Cooper Kupp is who he is right now. Ayuk, I think, is the value that we're taking right now. So far, we have Brock Purdy, Kenneth Walker, and Brandon Ayuk. Who's the fourth receiver we're going to take?
We're going to go DK?
Second receiver?
Second receiver, my fault. Fourth player.
What's DK's price here?
I know.
DK's price is $16.42.
I want JSN.
Still really young. Oh, okay.
JSN at $9.40. He's been having a great camp. He's going to come in.
Guy.
Big camp guy. That's all we have to go off of. He's been having a great camp. There's been a few highlights out there of him making just some ridiculous catches. It's been all positive news. And you have DK and Lockett there, who've been locks for 1,000 yards for the last 3-4 years. Lockett's continuously one of the most underrated receivers in the league, but he's 30, 31, so we're not investing in him. DK, he's in the prime of his career, but he's already priced at that at $16, $17. JSN was comfortably wide receiver 1 in this class. I think he's really the piece, we're going to talk about it later, that could unlock the Seattle offense and make them a top 10, maybe top 5 offensive unit if Geno is able to replicate the season he had last year.
I like where your head is at with JSN. I kind of like Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's at $21. He costs a little bit more than all these other guys, but he's the 9th price receiver below Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill. Cooper Kupp had a down year last year. He was down, I think, 3%. But Cooper Kupp is capable of another top 5 wide receiver season if he can stay healthy with Matthew Stafford.
That's the thing. You trust that?
He also has a hamstring injury he's going through right now? Not ideal.
You trust Rams O-line, Stafford staying healthy, Kupp staying healthy?
And you have to trust Sean McVay. And the rest will figure itself out.
As long as Cooper Kupp is healthy, I trust this price to definitely go up.
Because last year, before he went out to injury,
he was on pace to get like 1,600
yards. He was the best receiver in football through those first 5-6 weeks. He was putting up better numbers than Jettis.
No comment. Nobody's better than Mike King.
I think Jettis number 1, but statistically, I should say he was the best receiver in football.
No, yeah, Kupp is force-fed like a motherfucker.
Yeah, like he's gonna get 160 targets.
Yeah, for sure.
If he's healthy.
It's just the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, will he be healthy? Like, and I think JSN could have like that bigger share price in terms of just breaking out because we have a flex spot.
We have a flex spot.
Good use JSN for the flex spot.
Or Michael Wilson.
Michael
Wilson is a receiver out of Stanford. He plays for the Cardinals. Right now in camp, he's been the standout receiver, and he's priced at $3.76.
He's priced at nothing.
Yeah.
That's actually stinky ass pricing.
Yeah. But I think
if he's Gabe Davis, he's at $8.
I mean, you've given me you gave me Charbonnet, so if you want to take Kupp here, we could do that.
It's up to you, Brody.
I'm taking Cooper Kupp with this pick.
So number 2 receiver. Cooper
yes.
Kupp. Cool.
I'll take Cooper Kupp with this pick just because I want to stay away from rookies. We're talking about breakout rookie.
But it's Geno Smith.
What's the breakout?
Screaming.
It's Geno Smithian, yeah. But they got DK, they got Lockett.
They do.
So for me, the team that we have so far is Brock Purdy, Zach Charbonnet, Brandon Ayuk, Cooper Kupp. I think that's a solid 4. Wild card, I love the Michael Wilson pick just because he doesn't cost anything.
It's nothing. He's reportedly going to be the 3rd wide receiver out of the starting 3. He's already up there. Rondell Moore apparently isn't having a great camp. They love, obviously, you have Hollywood there, and Greg Dortch apparently is they're all so short. Rondell Moore's 5'7".
He's 5'9".
Dortch, dude, I think he's 5'7". Hollywood's 5'9", but I'm pretty sure Dortch
Dortch is 5'7".
Dortch is 5'7". Rondell Moore's 5'7". They signed Zach Pascal.
He's 5'7".
Zach Pascal's a whopping 5'10". So Michael Wilson is the only receiver that's going to get snaps that's over 5'10" on this team. He's going to have a role.
He's like Michael Floyd.
Yeah, good name.
Michael Floyd.
Thought he was taller. He's cocked.
That's what doing those crossover grids does to you. Remember
Michael
these
Floyd.
random names.
Forgot about that. Did you ever play for a team other than the Cardinals?
I don't think so.
I feel like
if it is, it was just one team.
yeah.
Baltimore?
I feel like he had a random team. He played 6 years. He must have.
It might have been the Eagles or Chargers.
Arizona, New England for a bit, Minnesota for a bit, Washington for a bit.
Wow, okay. I was not guessing any of those names. So to recap our Mojo NFC Breakout team, we're going with Brock Purdy at $11.69, Zach Charbonnet at $6, Brandon Ayuk at $13, Cooper Kupp at $21, and wild card Michael Wilson at $3.76. If you are in New Jersey, you can download Mojo now, and you can bet on these players like their stocks. And if you live in another place, you can join the waitlist for DFS.
Sir.
Link is in our bio below. Let's get on to the NFC West preview. And that's what I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to your answer, Dehls. I mean, the 49ers, they're probably going to start Brock Purdy.
Definitely.
If Trey Lance never plays for the 49ers, never starts for them, from this point forward, is he a bigger bust than Mr. Zachary Wilson?
No. It's pretty simple now because
Simple.
I think everyone, basically the whole football community was in agreement that Trey Lance year one should sit. You have Jimmy G there. You have a roster ready to compete for a Super Bowl. Trey Lance, he needs the time to sit too because he just had taken a year off of football because of COVID. He needed a year to sit. Everyone was cool with it. So he sat. He developed. Year two, it's your time to shine. First game he plays is in the monsoon. There's anyone who really cares
Justin
about
Fields
that
was
game.
also in that monsoon.
And he wasn't that good either.
He won.
They both sucked.
Yeah,
If we're being
won.
honest, they both were
Justin
terrible.
Fields had 2 big plays, though.
Oh, wow. And you were shitting on those 2 big plays.
They
when
were
we
wide
came
open,
back.
but he made
And the
them.
Bears won.
And the Bears did win.
That's nuts.
Second game of the season, the second drive, he breaks his fucking ankle. What are you supposed to do? And not only does he break his ankle, right? So you get that news. First of all, I was devastated. I was heartbroken when that happened. Jimmy G comes back in. He's Jimmy G. He eventually goes out. Then you have Brock Purdy come in. Nobody saw Brock Purdy as a feasible answer at quarterback. But the fact that Brock Purdy for the next 3 years is going to be making less than $1 million, the 49ers could do whatever they want with this roster, and they basically have who they wanted to draft in Mac Jones. This goes back 2-3 years when it was the Mac Jones versus Trey Lance debate. Shanahan wanted Mac Jones, but after they traded up from 12 to 3, everyone's saying, how can you trade up and select Mac Jones? He's not a ceiling raiser. He's just a floor raiser. Well, then come to show, 3 years later, he gets Brock Purdy, who is basically Mac Jones. That's not a slight to him at all. If Mac Jones was in this offense, he would be putting up very similar numbers. He would be having Pro Bowl type seasons. Shanahan wants a guy that just runs his offense. He doesn't want a guy who's going to go out there. He's going to be super mobile, making all these big time throws. He wants a guy that's going to hit the short stuff, hit the intermediate, and he can hit the deep passes, which Brock Purdy can. But right now, especially after Brock Purdy, who was damn near perfect since taking over, led you to the playoffs. Of course, he gets hurt in the championship game, so we don't know what's going to happen after that. He has the locker room behind him. Shanahan's in love with him. There's no world where Trey Lance gets the starting job. And it's not because of Trey Lance's play on the field. He has started and completed 3 NFL games. I went back and said, you know what? The biggest bust in NFL history? Ryan Leaf played 21 games. Started 21 games. Jamarcus Russell, 25. Brandon Reed, 25. Sam Darnold, 55. Zach Wilson, 22. Josh Rosen, 16. Even Johnny Manziel got 8 games that he got to start. We can't just rip off Trey Lance as a bust 3 starts into his career. That's not fair. That's not how we do things. We haven't seen this guy play. This guy has played and completed 4 games of football in the last 3 years. I'm including his last year at North Dakota State as one of those games. He has played 4 games of football in 3 years.
Then it should have never drafted him. That's what it comes down to, Dehls. That's what it comes down to. You know, you talk about Shanahan doesn't want a quarterback that can be mobile, make these big-time throws. Well, that's because Shanahan's looking at Lance like he can make these big-time throws.
We don't know if
He's
he
not
can.
throwing these throws in practice.
We don't know.
That's what Shanahan's doing. Now, listen, I know you want to be nice to Trey Lance. That's your guy, you know. But listen, I'm going to drop some truth on you. But before I get on Brock Purdy, let me talk about this Lance situation because for one, let's just talk about it. The Jets and the 49ers both missed out on Justin Fields and Mac Jones, who, to this point, you can say are better quarterback and quarterback prospects than Trey Lance and Zach Wilson. But here's the thing. The New York Jets' second overall pick was bad. There's no doubt. They took Zach Wilson. He didn't pan out up to this point because we know Aaron Rodgers could change a career. The 49ers traded up to the third overall pick in that draft. They gave up 3 first-rounders. They gave up a third-rounder. The package, the picks they sent, players have already been selected at those spots. I'm looking at the 2021 first-rounder the 49ers gave up. From the Dolphins to the Eagles to the Cowboys, that pick became Micah Parsons. 2022 first-rounder became Cole Strange for the Patriots, who's a serviceable, good guard in the NFL. 2022 third-round pick was Channing Tindall. We can move past that. Special teamer. 2023 first-rounder, Brian Breesy, Broncos to the Saints. He traded that pick. The 49ers traded up. The 49ers traded up to the third overall pick. The Dolphins, with those assets, turned that into Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb. Those picks that were made with those trades that the Dolphins did, we're talking Micah Parsons, Cole Strange, Brian Breesy. I don't even got to mention nobody besides Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, can you believe how this Niners defense will look with Micah Parsons here? I'm talking about one of the greatest defenses of all time. We're talking about Micah's on this team. But they drafted Trey Lance. See, the Jets, they might have drafted Zach Wilson. We didn't have that many chips in, though.
Because we sucked.
We didn't have
the worst team in football.
We didn't have the amount of chips the 49ers had in Trey Lance.
Since the Niners were actually competent, they didn't have the number 2 overall pick.
And if anything, I could say Trey Lance has been in a far better situation. Zach Wilson
played 3 games.
Zach Wilson was thrown in the fire. He was thrown in the barbecue, been made into some chicken. That's what he was.
He's played 3 games.
Trey Lance, his rookie year, they redshirted him because they said, you know what, you're not ready. You cannot play because you're going to cost us a chance.
Which was the
at
right
being
move.
Successful.
Which was the right move.
Maybe. Who knows?
Patrick Mahomes sat for a year. That seemed to work out.
Zach Wilson should have sat too. Zach Wilson didn't have that same luxury, right? And second season, you get an excuse. He gets injured, right? But can you please bring in context? What happened that second year? Who outplayed Trey Lance in training camp? It was Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was better than Trey Lance in the offseason. The only reason they started Trey Lance was because of status. Now this offseason, Trey Lance is slightly better playing slightly better than Brock Purdy, but the reason they're sticking with Brock is because they've seen him do it.
Obviously.
If the 49ers drafted Trey Lance this high, the third overall pick, and don't start him, he's a bigger bust than Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson has a reason not to be starting his third year. Aaron Rodgers came into the team.
You know it's a ridiculous take because we're not talking about Trey Lance's play on the field because he hasn't played.
No shot.
We're talking about, well, since the Niners had to trade up because they were an actual good team or good enough where they had a middle of the first round pick, Zach Wilson is a bust because he's not good at football.
He's
not a good quarterback. We don't know if Trey Lance is good or not.
Riv, let me ask you this. Oh, God. Riv, NBA guy. I'm going to give him an NBA analogy right now. If you draft a player highly, talk about Anthony Bennett. We know Anthony Bennett's a bust, right? Because he ain't play. Is it worse that a player gets on the court and can't play, or you're sitting a player on the bench because they can't play? No, Trey Lance is not playing because he's not better. That's why he's not playing.
Now,
he's not better.
Right now, Brock Purdy is better. I agree.
Why is Brock Purdy better?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Brock Purdy, weeks 13 to 18, completed 69% of his passes.
He's amazing.
13-3 touchdown interception ratio. The number 1 passer rate in the league. Number 2 in EPA per play. 11 completion percentage over expectation. He went out there and balled the fuck out.
Any mediocre quarterback can do that for the 49ers
Jimmy G wasn't doing that.
Yes, he was.
Not this.
Jimmy Garoppolo was top 5 in every efficiency stat with the 49ers.
70% completion, 13-3 touchdown interception ratio. He did not do that,
Jimmy Garoppolo led them to a Super Bowl in an NFC Championship game. Yes, he did.
He was mid as fuck in the playoffs.
Okay, I know. What was Brock Purdy in the playoffs?
We got hurt. His first 2 games
versus
he was
the
good, though.
Seahawks, he wasn't very
had
good.
300 yards.
He was getting away with every single drop interception. Those weren't good
300
throws.
yards.
Brock Purdy has had 5 starts.
He had 300 yards and 3 touchdowns versus Seattle.
Brock Purdy had 5
you hear
starts.
this? He said he wasn't good. 303 touchdowns.
That's where that you watch. Looking at the stats, I'm
Oh my
watching the
God.
games.
We
He
all watched
wasn't
the
good
game.
in the games.
Hold
He
on,
wasn't.
because Jimmy G had 427 yards and 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions that year. They went to the Super Bowl.
Now look at
Don't
this.
do that.
Brock Purdy.
All the
2019.
playoff games.
Yeah, all playoff
400
games.
He put up more touchdowns, damn near the same amount of yards in 1 game.
Brock Purdy,
He capped
5
it.
starts,
Crazy.
3 in the playoffs. 49ers played no top defense in his 5 starts.
can't
They
control
played no
that.
top defense. Guess what?
Should he say, go get better players
Guess
so I can
what?
light you up
Guess
instead?
what? Brock Purdy was never playing from behind because the Niners were always up. But guess what? When
He was a part of that.
When he did play from behind, in 248 dropbacks when Brock Purdy played from behind, when he was trailing in the 4th quarter, he was 5 for 12, 43% completion percentage, 0
Holy
touchdowns,
shit,
1
the last
interception.
pick in the
What are you
draft
talking
isn't
about?
good
He
when
was-
the-
You're-
on
that's
obvious
12
passing,
that's
obvious
12
passing out
pass
situations,
attempts.
he's not very good.
That's 12 pass attempts.
Everybody knows
Nuts
Kyle
that you
Shanahan
picked
gets the most out of
nuts.
The
mediocre
sample
quarterbacks.
size is
Nuts.
nothing. This is a preseason first quarter sample
everybody
size.
knows that, bro. Everybody knows that Kyle Shanahan gets the most out of
I
mediocre
agree.
quarterbacks. Brock Purdy, if he was able to do this, Kyle Shanahan
Wait,
in the
hold
back
on.
of his mind should be saying Trey
Hold on,
Lance
time
can
out,
do
time
this
out, time
too.
out.
He doesn't have belief in
This
Trey
doesn't make
Lance.
sense
Different
because why
skill sets.
are you trying to knock Brock Purdy for
he's
having a
not
good
good, both of
for
them.
having a good team, but yeah, you praise Jimmy G when he had a 77-yard playoff
I
game.
didn't ever praise
yes,
Jimmy G.
you praised Jimmy G.
When did I do that?
You praised Jimmy G like
Name me
he's
an
just
example.
good
When did I-
quarterback. But you're
You just said he's always high as
he's
a
always
efficiency,
high as
da-da-da.
efficiency rate.
No.
He's just good
Tell me,
quarterback.
tell me when did I praise
I'm telling
Jimmy
you right now. You
Garoppolo?
talk about Jimmy G's a good quarterback. Why Brock Purdy can't just be a
What?
good quarterback
What are we
in
talking
a great
about?
situation? Why do you have to knock him because he's always up? He can't control it. He has a good team. He is the last pick in the draft. The last pick in the draft. You can't knock him for going to a good situation and playing good. He has to still play good.
For one, you just lied right there.
Who lied?
Back in 2020 when Jimmy Garoppolo and
No,
49ers.
you just said Jimmy G led them to the Super Bowl. That's what you just
No.
said. You
Did I
said
say
that. Yes.
Well, he was a quarterback for the Super Bowl. He was a
He
quarterback
had
when they got there.
77 yards in a playoff
Remember when
game.
Jalen Hurts didn't lead his team to the Super
Yeah,
Bowl, but
he-
Jimmy G led his team to the
he
Super
had
Bowl?
77 yards in a playoff game.
Hold up. Let's get this clear. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo led the Niners to the Super Bowl.
Did he not just say
didn't-
that?
he didn't
If
say
I
that.
said
right?
that, I misspoke.
Okay, that's
he
all.
never led the Niners to Super Bowl. I've
Okay,
been
good.
vocal in saying Jimmy Garoppolo is an average quarterback. That's why when I came up here, you was on the show at the time, Riv, back in 2021, when I called Tua Jimmy G, y'all said it was disrespectful because I'm not high on Jimmy G. Back in 2020, when the Niners lost the Super Bowl, I was critical of Jimmy Garoppolo in his performance because he missed Emmanuel Sanders on
sure.
a post route that
Game-winning
would have put them
touchdown.
up. Jimmy Garoppolo was the reason they lost.
But that's why
He's
you messed
been-
us up because
he-
you just said that he led them to the Super
Jimmy
Bowl.
Garoppolo has been the reason the Niners cannot get over the hump.
And Brock Purdy
That-
was the reason this year?
He got hurt.
I'm
We
not
don't- we
saying
don't
he
know
was
what
the
happened
reason they
in
couldn't
those
get over
games.
the hump. But guess what? Guess what I'm gonna tell you? I'm gonna give you some
Because
foresight.
they elevated.
I'm gonna give you some foresight right now, Rev. They elevated because they got Christian McCaffrey in the offense.
You didn't even think it was a big move.
he actually thought
you
it was
did
no
not
anything.
think it was.
That's
Oh
wrong.
no,
That's wrong.
bro,
That's
Drew,
wrong.
Drew was
That's
sitting
wrong.
here saying this
That's
is a game
wrong.
changer.
You
You
said
said,
it's
you
not
said,
that
oh, it'll
big.
be a minimal
That-
move,
that's
but it's
wrong.
not going to be a
That's
game
wrong.
changer for them.
That's
It's
wrong.
not
You
taking
didn't
over
think it
the
was a
top.
big move at the
That's wrong.
time.
That's a
That's
fact.
wrong.
No,
You
that's
wanna
a
know what's
fact.
wrong?
Joy,
You wanna know what's wrong?
That's a fact.
You want to allow me? Okay. That's wrong because when Christian McCaffrey got traded to the 49ers, I said, listen, this is a great move. Did they give a little bit too much assets in terms of draft capital? I believe so. But ultimately, I said, this doesn't change anything because our running back isn't going to make them win the Super Bowl because ultimately you still have a quarterback that has training wheels on. I said it doesn't matter if they get CMC. As long as Jimmy Garoppolo is a quarterback, they are not winning at all.
I don't know.
That's what I said.
But first of all,
I didn't say CMC doesn't change nothing. I said
But
as long as they have Jimmy G, they will not win. That was my exact take. And guess what? It doesn't matter if it's Jimmy
and
G.
guess what?
It doesn't
What?
matter if it's Brock Purdy.
they had
They're
Josh
not gonna
Johnson
win.
out there in the NFC
What are you
Championship
come on,
game,
bro.
Were they going to beat the Eagles regardless?
I had the Eagles
They
because,
wasn't
of
gonna
course,
beat
I'm
the-
Jalen Hurts. But that was a toss-up game. The Niners
truth-
were ridiculous.
The truth is that the reason why Kyle Shanahan drafted Trey Lance is because he needed something different than Jimmy Garoppolo because Jimmy
Shanahan wanted
Garoppolo
Mac
is
Jones.
limiting. He drafted Trey Lance.
Yeah, that was the rest of the organization. Lance. He wanted Mac Jones. It's been reported he wanted Mac Jones.
He came out in the presser after they drafted him and said Lance was the guy all along.
Of course, he
Shanahan
just
said that.
Just traded 3 first-round picks to get a guy. Of course,
you're using reports and rumors as justification for your reasoning that he wanted Mac Jones.
Now.
Ultimately, they drafted Trey Lance. They drafted Trey Lance and did not draft Mac Jones because they saw Mac Jones was too similar to Jimmy G, and they wanted a quarterback that can do more. If you move on from Trey Lance and you go to Brock Purdy, it's the same as having Jimmy Garoppolo. That's a news flash. Brock Purdy is not this quarterback y'all think he is. And Trey Lance, as a 3rd overall pick, should not be losing the starting spot to Brock Purdy. That's ridiculous.
There's actually a quote here from Shanahan. He said, "We did the trade so early that it made me feel good about it. I knew before we did it how I felt about the quarterbacks and how good we would be to take them at 12. There were 2 I really wanted, Mac Jones and Trey Lance."
And they took the one they wanted more in Trey Lance.
Because they traded up for him. If they stuck at 12, they would have got Mac.
If you trade up to a pick, you're going to get the guy
but
you want regardless.
That probably wasn't. I don't know if that was a Shanahan move. That could have easily been a Lynch move.
Okay, so you don't know. So that means you can't tell me that you know that it was Shanahan.
It was wildly reported. I don't know why you're saying like, oh, this is just reports. Like it's pretty well known in the NFL that he wanted Mac Jones.
It's pretty well known. As an organization, the Niners were they wanted
Shanahan who wanted
Shanahan
him more.
just wanted somebody to run his offense.
Yes.
But I'm saying, ultimately, they took Lance. And if they took Lance, I have to go by them taking Lance is the reason why they favored him over Mac Jones. Because I remember back in the 2019 NFL draft when the Giants traded up in the draft, everybody thought it was for Dwayne Haskins, and they selected Daniel Jones. Now, the reason an organization does that is because if they trade up, they're going to get the guy regardless. If they really wanted Mac Jones, if Shanahan really wanted Mac Jones, he would have had final say in that decision and drafted Mac Jones. They drafted Trey Lance, and if Trey Lance cannot beat out Brock Purdy, that's alarming, and he's a bust. Are you telling me you're taking Trey Lance, getting traded? Whose career are you taking? Zach Wilson being mentored by Aaron Rodgers and what that could look like, or Trey Lance being traded to another organization?
Give me the shot on Trey Lance. I know what Zach is.
Get out of here.
Tell me the quarterback in NFL history who's been as bad as Zach Wilson. We're talking the worst quarterback in the league for 2 seasons and came back.
Alex Smith, baby.
Alex Smith is nonsense.
What do you mean?
He was not as bad as Zach.
Yes, he was.
He
was worse. Alex Smith was worse.
2 years.
Alex Smith was worse.
He was not worse than fucking
Look at the stats.
Zach,
Alex Smith was worse.
You said a lot in this video. You said a lot. I went back and I watched it. You said the Panthers won the trade.
Zach, at least year 2, he completed almost 60% of his passes, 3,000 yards, 60. He threw 16 touches year 2. Has Zach thrown 16 his career?
What's the passer rating? What's the completion
75.
percentage?
Completion percentage his second year was 58.
What's the first 2 year stats? Because in the first year, Alex Smith, he threw 0 touchdowns.
His first year, he only played 7 games. Year 2 was the full 16, went 7-9, 58% completion, about 3,000 yards, 16 touchdowns.
Show me. Alex Smith's first 2 year stats side by side with Zach Wilson is similar, bro.
You guys are comparing 2 completely different type of busts, right?
What's the difference? Tell me.
There's a difference between a bust that hasn't been able to stay on the field and a bust we've seen and he's just not good. And Zach Wilson is a bust that can be, he can come back.
Even if we want to give him Alex Smith, he has 1 comp in NFL history.
Okay,
that's who he
Alex
has to
Smith's
be. That's who he has to be.
Yes.
Alex
and
Smith.
Zach Wilson's gonna be the other outlier.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
There's been 1,000 quarterbacks drafted. He has to be the 0.001%.
0.00000.
By the way, let me just give you some facts. When the Panthers traded,
you said the Panthers won.
Yes.
When you said this move doesn't. I watched the video. I have the subtitles.
When the Panthers traded Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers, the Panthers' rushing offense became better. Their rushing offense became better, and they got picks that they used to move and get the franchise quarterback and Bryce Young. Okay. I do think the Panthers won the trade. It put them in a position to finally rebuild the organization.
You also said the Niners have no depth.
I thought it was a
win-win. They don't. Move.
You also said they're too top heavy, and this doesn't move the ceiling for them too much.
They are too top heavy. They have no depth.
You also said this didn't guarantee them a Super Bowl.
Yes, it didn't.
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
That's exactly what I told you.
No, wait. He got hurt.
And saying this doesn't guarantee a Super Bowl is not a hot take. It's a very hard thing to do.
No, it's not a hot take. That's why I don't know why you're overreacting. I never said what I said was a hot take.
I'm just telling you what you said in this video. So CMC doesn't move the needle that much because you're not a fan of running backs.
And now all of a sudden,
Shanahan is the
Running
real
back by
mastermind.
committee.
Yeah.
No, Shanahan is the real mastermind.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
correct.
wasn't big on this CMC move.
No, I wasn't huge on it because ultimately the 49ers goal, you have to think about what the goal is. The 49ers goal when they made the move was to win a Super Bowl.
And they got
if
hurt.
I don't think that move is the reason why you're going to win, then I don't think it's that great of a move.
There could be any trade in the NFL for any position outside of quarterback. If your top 3 quarterbacks get hurt, you're not winning the Super Bowl. If Brock Purdy would stayed healthy in that championship game, who knows? They could have gone to the Super Bowl.
It's not who knows. We know if they weren't losing to the Eagles, they were losing to the Chiefs. They were not beating the Kansas City Chiefs led by Patrick Mahomes.
but they
It
got
doesn't
there.
matter.
Did he not just say CMC opened up the
got
offense?
there before.
Is that what? Did you not just say CMC once he got there wasn't Brock Purdy, it was CMC?
Once CMC got to the 49ers offense, they became top 3 in every single efficiency metric. He
Who was
opened up
starting
the offense.
quarterback?
I don't think the correlation in their offensive success had to do with Brock. I think it had to do with CMC.
Listen, I don't think Brock Purdy is a top 10 quarterback. He doesn't have the.
He's not a top 20 quarterback.
He's not. He doesn't even have the talent as a top 15 quarterback. But what Shanahan is going to ask him to do in this offense, he's going to succeed and he's going to be efficient and he's going to have all the
And then
advanced
guess what's going to
metrics.
happen?
Hold on, wait a
then,
minute.
then when defenses figure out a way to stop the manipulation that Kyle Shanahan throws at you,
But then that's
Brock
on
Purdy-
that's on
No,
That's not going to
Shanahan.
happen.
No, no.
Kyle
Sometimes
Shanahan, that's not going to happen.
there's a reason why coaches need a quarterback that can go above and beyond and win.
CJ
Because
Berthold threw 400 yards in a game one time
That
with
does-
Kyle
against
Shanahan.
who?
No,
Against who?
It doesn't fucking matter. Do you know who that is?
there have been times where defenses have neutralized what Shanahan has
Of
done.
course, yeah, it happens.
It
But
happened
when you
against.
have-
It happens with the Rams versus the Niners in the AFC Championship.
But when you
game.
have CMC, you have Brandon Ayuk, you have Debo, you
Bro,
have
this
George
offense
Kittle.
isn't just gonna get
This
figured out one day.
It's
It's
gonna keep
Shanahan, bro.
evolving
It's Shanahan.
with Shanahan.
it has gotten figured out before
But
with
in
Shanahan.
games, not for a fucking 8-game stretch or for a season, in individual games.
But ultimately, I don't care about the middle of the season with the Niners. With the
They
Niners,
went to the NFC Championship.
with the
game.
Niners, it's all about the Super Bowl. That's what it's about.
So should
and
they
one of
start
these,
Trey Lance?
huh?
Should they start Trey Lance?
I think they should take the flyer and start Trey Lance because I don't think that Brock Purdy is going to give you better production than Trey Lance.
not
It's
about
going to
the
be
production.
similar.
all the
But hold
time.
up, Riv. If Trey Lance is a bigger bust than Zach Wilson, why do you put him out there?
Ask him. I never said that.
If Trey Lance,
Now you know why you're calling him a bust. It's because you don't know if he's good or not.
it's not that. It's because one,
just said the flyer.
I can assume what a quarterback's going to look like under Kyle Shanahan
Yes,
off
you
rip.
can.
So then
If
why
the
are you
40
saying he's a bigger
if the
bust?
40 because if the 49ers, this is the question. If the 49ers move off of Trey Lance, they trade him or they don't start him in favor of Brock Purdy and they never get to see him start, then of course he's a bigger bust.
But that's
He
a
didn't even get to
49
play.
That's an organizational failure. That's not a Trey Lance failure. You're not giving him. How can you
If
be
he
a
was
bust?
if
You
he
played
was
3 games.
if he was hands down beating out Brock Purdy in camp, then he would have the
It
starting
doesn't.
job.
But what you think? It doesn't matter about camp. Brock Purdy has 5 games in a playoff game of evidence of him being good. Trey Lance has no evidence when it matters. Training camp doesn't matter that much. It really doesn't.
Brock
Purdy's
Purdy did in the regular
spot is
season.
solidified.
He's got the locker
Why
room.
should
He's
it
got the
be?
guys
Because
behind him.
he went undefeated in the regular season and then he won a playoff game.
Won 2.
Hey, what do you do? What do you mean? Why should it be? They have to see what he can do year 2. That's okay.
This
And
the
if he
thing.
flops out, he flops out. But they're good enough to where he can be okay for 17 games and they will still make the playoffs. I agree. He has to do it. He has to show when tough times get tough.
And he won't
can he
do
make
it.
that play? Will he not? We don't know.
No,
But
I know he won't.
Joel,
I
they're,
know he
they're
won't.
in the NFC. How many games are they going to go into
One
where
game.
they're underdogs?
One
They
game.
have to beat the Eagles.
One game.
Okay.
In one game.
So there's one team.
time. The Eagles. Because
And-
Brock Purdy wasn't great against Dallas. He's barely
game
good.
manager.
And
He's
they
game
fucking won the game.
Yeah.
Because their defense is so good, so elite, and Dak was literally ass. That's the one who really be folding under pressure. If Brock Purdy can just be better than Dak when it matters, which he probably can be, then they'll win. And that's okay. That's literally okay.
The Cowboys last season,
we go.
receivers couldn't get open against man coverage at all. Once the Niners took CeeDee Lamb out the game, there wasn't another player that Dak could have went to.
What are they going to do now, Brandon Cooks?
Well, Brandon Cooks definitely opens up the offense more. I mean, for sure, he opens up the offense. What are we
Lordy.
talking about? Brandon Cooks,
He's
how
a
many
good
years
player.
has he had?
He's a good player.
What are we talking about? Last year, who was it? I mean, we're talking about CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup getting fully healthy and his mental mindset ready. Michael Gallup was, before he got injured, was a really good receiver on the rise. This is the thing,
Well,
and
sounds
this is what you guys are failing to understand.
Mike McCarthy's calling plays. Good luck.
ultimately, when it comes to the 49ers, the reason they have not been able to get over the hump is because when all the gimmicky stuff stops working and they need a quarterback to make the play, Jimmy Garoppolo has been unable to make
And this is where you're wrong, because that is on Jimmy G. You have not seen that from Brock Purdy yet, because the moment when he needed it to be, he got hurt.
He's got a 12 pass attempt.
Not even acknowledging that. I've seen
enough from Brock Purdy to say that he's overrated.
You have not seen enough from Brock Purdy in those moments like you've seen from Jimmy G to say he's holding them back from a title, because they were in an NFC Championship game and the Eagles injured every single quarterback they had. Brock didn't even get to play much in that game, and even when he got hurt, he still tried to go out there. What are we doing?
I've seen enough from Brock Purdy to know that he's overrated. Yes, I have.
What is he? How's he overrated? Where are we rating him?
Because the stats don't showcase what was actually on the tape.
On the tape was 5-0.
No, that's actually the stats. The stats says it's 5-0.
When
they won against the Raiders, Brock Purdy was not good against the Raiders.
Okay,
he held them back in that game.
Bro, he was fantastic throughout those 5-6 weeks.
Which ones? I
read the stats too. He completed 70% of his passes.
You're so overcritical of the last pick in the draft.
Touchdown interception ratio. He was number. What was he?
You're a stats guy.
You're a big advanced stats guy. He was number 2 in EPA per
his
play.
Favorite. What's that?
Number
EPA?
2 in EPA per
stat.
play. You just asked me about Alex Smith's passer rating. Brock Purdy was number 1, weeks 13 to 18. Number 1, 110 passes.
You said Alex Smith? You mean Jimmy Garoppolo?
No, because you said, what was Alex Smith's passer rating that year? I was like, whatever, fucking 74.
Add this. He's the last pick in the draft. Yeah. The last pick.
No, what he's done has been being the last pick and doing that.
You're being very overcritical of the last pick in the draft.
I'm not overcritical. It's just that
Can we see him in year 2?
The 49ers moved off from Jimmy for an upgrade, and Brock Purdy is not an upgrade. He's not.
Maybe he
Brock
is.
Purdy was better this year than Jimmy G was. That's pretty easy.
That's a start, right?
It's, pretty comfortable, I would say.
Brock Purdy has better playoff games than Jimmy G. That's a start. So what are we saying
right now, I'm looking at rbsdm.com. It's where you find EPA per plays and all those different metrics, right? Okay. I'm looking at minimum of 200 snaps for a quarterback. EPA per play, Mahomes was first.
This is what, this past season?
This past season. Number 2 was Tua. Number 3 was Jimmy Garoppolo.
Don't you? But Tua
yeah, because he's also in an offense with Mike McDaniel coming from that tree. It oversimplifies the offense. That's why I'm even with the numbers with Tua. That's why I'm critical of Tua too. But Tua is way better than Brock Purdy. Number 4 is Josh Allen. Number 5 is Jalen Hurts. Number 6 is Brock Purdy. So actually, EPA per play, Jimmy Garoppolo was 3 spots ahead of Brock Purdy.
I had weeks 13 to 18, the weeks he actually started.
Wait, what do you mean? This is just how many snaps they played. Garoppolo played 362 snaps, and Brock Purdy played 206 snaps at quarterback.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at the weeks Brock Purdy played. I don't really care about those other weeks. Weeks 13 to 18, I was looking at.
What other weeks did he play? How many snaps did he play? Huh?
I'm saying I was just looking the weeks Brock Purdy started 13 to 18.
Games. Brock Purdy's played 9 games.
I don't know if I didn't. You can't add the.
This takes into account their snaps in the regular season.
You're looking at the totality. How many games did Jimmy G play this year?
I mean, I'm looking at the totality. You want to look at the totality. I mean,
wait. No.
Brock Purdy before he started had 9 dropbacks.
He played 10 games.
Yeah, he's played. Like, he played against Kansas City.
Low-key, Jimmy G had his best year of his career this past season before he got hurt.
Yes, he did, because it's Shanahan's offense, and any mediocre to below average quarterback can look better.
Let me get this straight. The stat you love so much, Brock Purdy was 6.
And if you just count the weeks he played, number 1.
Jimmy Garoppolo was third. Jimmy Garoppolo was third. I'm not high on Jimmy Garoppolo.
And Jimmy G has shown you he can't win you a playoff game, and Brock hasn't even shown you that yet.
Brock Purdy's shown you. He put up 300
yards.
No, it's saying
Brock Purdy hasn't shown you that he'll hold them back in a playoff game yet. Oh. I don't think he's shown that yet. You can project if you want, but he has not shown that like Jimmy G has, correct?
Well, I think in the Seattle game he wasn't very good.
He put up 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Well, I don't think he was good. You can look at the stats and say he was good.
First half, it was a close game. I want to say it was tied or maybe 3-point one way or the other, but that second half, they came out and they blew them out. They won by
it wasn't because of Brock Purdy.
Points.
He has to score, by the way.
And also, the Seahawks defense last season was one of the worst in the NFL.
It wasn't good.
They had one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL. So for me, there's a reason why I'm not high on
always
Garoppolo.
There's always something.
There's a reason why I'm not high on Garoppolo, even with him being number 3rd on this list. Like you said, he was having a career year. But if you watch it, you know it's because of Shanahan. That's why I say it doesn't matter. If you're moving on from Jimmy G and you're going to Brock Purdy, it's a lateral move. There's no difference. And every stable quarterback metric, Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy are neck and neck. They are similar across the board. And those stable quarterback metrics are
just this year.
Are just this year, yes. But even in years before this, Jimmy Garoppolo was always a top 5 quarterback in EPA per dropback.
You don't think so? Okay, so you're talking about Brock Purdy's rookie year as the last pick in the draft, as opposed to Jimmy G's probably this is like his 7th, 8th year. You don't think Brock can improve at all? Like this is him.
I think he maybe slightly, but this is pretty much him. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is him.
Listen,
do you have a different opinion? You think he's something special? Do you think he's the next Tom Brady that I'm missing out?
All right.
No, I'm trying to understand where your mind is at.
I don't think he's the next Tom fucking Brady, but I don't think he's as bad as you think he is. I think he could be better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he can be a top 18, 17 quarterback in the NFL. Like that's not a big jump. And if he has Kyle Shanahan, who's always going to put him in a position to succeed, he'll always be fine. He just has to hit those throws. He can do it. I don't know why you act like he can't. If you're in a system where you're always put in a position to succeed, then I don't see what's the big issue. That's going to be your main knock. Oh, Kyle Shanahan's this. Well, that's what coaches are for. Coaches are there to help your job be much, much easier. Your knock on him is Kyle Shanahan makes his job easier. Well, so what?
No, my knock on him is I know what Kyle Shanahan is going to do. My knock on him, and this is the same knock I had on Jimmy Garoppolo and why I thought the Christian McCaffrey trade did not guarantee them anything, was because on obvious passing down situations, when the run game isn't working, when they got all those little gimmicky stuff figured out, which has happened in the past with Kyle Shanahan. It's happened in the past. Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't able to deliver.
You have a lot of film on that.
Brock Purdy won't be able to deliver.
Based off what?
Like I said, you want to use a small sample size of the game started, but listen, I told you my small sample size, right?
It was 12 snaps.
The small sample size of Brock Purdy trailing, it was in the Raiders game. He was horrible.
That was week
and
what?
That's the thing.
That was week what?
And that was also against one of the worst defenses in football.
What though?
That was week 15, I believe. They faced the Raiders.
Against the Raiders.
Week 15 against the Raiders. But that's the thing, is that I don't think Brock Purdy, when the chips are on the line and he has to make something happen that isn't designed perfectly by Kyle Shanahan, he won't be able to do it. And that's based off
12 snaps against the Raiders.
That the stats say 12 snaps. My belief and reasoning is based off all the snaps I've seen Brock Purdy in. I know how easy of a job he has at his quarterback.
So what game specifically? Outside the Raiders
that terrible Raiders game was 63% completion, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 reception.
And that's you looking at the stats. That's you looking at the stats and saying he was great and not.
Well, he doesn't say he was great, but it's
versus the Seahawks, the playoff game. I thought it was an average to below average performance.
But
if you look at the stats, they'll say it was all great, right? I look at the Commanders game. The Commanders game wasn't very good either. I thought he was kind of subpar in that one as well.
Based off because what did he miss passes and stuff?
It's just everything is so easy when Kyle Shanahan is designing.
22 pass attempts that game. Wow. Completed 15 passes. What do you like?
When you look at the games,
it's just too easy for him.
You see that Brock Purdy, when he's going to be forced into situations, I can already project that he's not going to be what you think he's going to be.
What?
Like pretty.
So basically, what you see is an easy play, and based off the easy play, you're like, you know what? If this was hard, he'd fumble.
Listen, this is the thing.
No, it's because there's been times on obvious passing down situations. We're talking about 3rd and long where he does not deliver.
Can we see this guy play 10 games against
Bro
NFL defenses
brought up a
before we
that was his first playoff game of his life.
Can we? Because listen, Joel. Logically speaking, it makes all the sense in the world for the 49ers to see what they have in Trey Lance. I also think it makes sense that once Brock Purdy has the locker room behind him and this team who is trying to win a Super Bowl, Brock Purdy is probably in a better position because he is more refined than Trey Lance is. Trey Lance's ceiling is higher, but the floor is a lot lower with Lance, and the floor is a lot higher with Purdy. Your argument, which I understand because the argument that you're making, it's going to be hard to be wrong because he's basically saying Brock Purdy will never be good enough that in a playoff game, trailing the 4th quarter in the Super Bowl, he'll never be good enough to win a Super Bowl or win those games. I mean, yeah, there's like 5 quarterbacks in the NFL that could do that.
Well, there are 2 different things that you said that I want to attack. For one, If Trey Lance is not refined in 3 years, that's a problem.
He doesn't play. He needs snaps.
His entire rookie season, he was practicing.
That's not
You
the
can
same,
get
though.
better. You
Snaps.
can get better in practice.
And we
not the
don't know.
same.
He played 1 game in his second year. He could have been great
He
last
was
year.
hurt all last year.
Mahomes redshirted one
Mahomes is a
entire
different
year,
beast. Please
and
use
then
somebody
he
else.
had 50 touchdowns the next year.
And how,
different
did
beast.
You
Mahomes,
get
how many
better
games
in
did Mahomes
practice.
play year 2?
He played all of them.
17. How many games did Trey Lance play?
1.5.
Fucking one
And
in
also,
one drive.
and also, in year 1 with Trey Lance, there were instances where he did play when Jimmy Garoppolo went out.
He played 2 games.
The Texans game, and
Yeah.
what other game did he play?
I don't know. He played 2 games.
But in those games that Trey Lance played, he didn't play horribly
He was
to the
fine.
point that you just kick him to the curb for
No,
Brock Purdy.
He was valid.
No, but bro, he started that next year. He just got hurt.
Yeah, he
That's-
got hurt, but
like, we
I'm saying
don't know.
he should have the starting quarterback job. If 49ers really believe in him, it should be him, not Brock Purdy. That's all I'm saying. So if Trey Lance is not refined in year 3,
He needs
that's
snaps.
an issue.
It's 'cause he has
How
to-
does he get snaps?
By playing.
And what if he doesn't play?
But
He won't ever get them.
the
So
Niners-
he's a bust.
It's
The hurt,
because-
but it hasn't been. He hasn't been playing because of his talents. Because he's been hurt. He would have started if he was healthy last year. He would have started all games last year.
Second year, he was hurt. Rookie year, he did not play.
They sat him.
Third year, right now, they're about to sit him again. Right now, it's a battle between him and Sam Darnold.
He should win the QB2 job, I'll be honest.
No,
If he doesn't win the QB2
Right
job-
now, their depth chart is Sam or Trey Lance.
No, that's
They
now
just
that
don't- they
that
don't-
is the one where there's no.
They
So
don't
what
want
are we
to. They
talking
don't want to
about?
start any drama.
he's
we,
not-
we
They don't
can't
wanna
we
start
can't
any
say
drama.
we can't say Trey Lance isn't a bust if he doesn't play, but he's not good enough to even play. If he's not good enough to even play, he's a bust. If Zach Wilson hadn't played to this point, he's not a bust.
Yeah, but he played and he was literally dog shit.
Okay.
Wait,
That's
so then
the
how is Trey
problem.
Lance?
He literally
Because
just.
Trey Lance can't get on the field.
But if Zach, but you just
There's
said
no
if
other
Zach, no,
option
he
in
just
New
said if
York.
Zach hasn't played him to this point, he isn't a bust. But that would have meant Zach also can't get on the field. That's the same thing with Trey
if
Lance.
Zach can't get on the field and he couldn't beat out a quarterback in front of him, yes, he's a bust.
Yeah, but bro, you have to understand what the quarterback did in the regular season, bro. It's a different case.
You have
So
a
you
Niners
think-
team
so
that's
you
trying
think-
to win
No,
a
if he can't beat
Super
out
Bowl,
Sam
bro.
Darnold, he's
No,
fucked.
so let me ask you, Riv. If Trey Lance, if the 49ers say, you know what, we're going to trade
This
Trey
shit's
Lance.
sick, man.
If they trade Trey Lance, is he a bust for the 49ers?
Yeah, he would have failed with
He's
the
a
49ers.
bust of a pick. If he doesn't get on the field, he's a bust of a pick. I don't care about other situations. Maybe he exceeds. For the 49ers,
No,
he's
for the
a
49ers,
bust of a pick.
he's a failure.
And it's worse.
But if he
it's
bounces
worse than
back
Zach
after
Wilson.
that, he's not a bust. He's,
Okay,
he's
yes,
back
you're
to it.
right. You're correct. But
He's
for
not
the
worse
Nin-
than Zach Wilson. Stop saying that, bro.
But
Please.
for the 49ers, he's a bust.
Yes,
That's
he's a
what I'm
failure.
saying.
Yes,
Yes,
but you're
he's
saying
a
worse
failure.
than Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was dog shit.
So let me ask you.
He
if-
was not.
if-
He's not good at football. We don't know if Trey Lance is good at football.
He's
Zach
that's
is
my
literally
argument.
not. Zach is
he's
quite
the
literally
worst.
not good at football. Like
So-
he's not good at
Okay,
anything in
but
football.
but if Trey Lance
Sorry,
gets,
Zach.
if
I
get-
hope you turn it around.
what's worse? If me as an organization, I draft you with the second overall pick, you're not good. Okay, but I just had the second overall pick. I didn't trade up. I didn't do nothing. Versus me trading up three
Is that
first
Trey
round
Lance's
picks
fault that the
and
Niners traded up?
I like how you add all that context.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Because
that's
the
good- that's good
context
context.
matters.
But that's not on Trey Lance. Trey Lance didn't say, "Oh, trade 3 first-round picks for me." The Niners
But
did
it happened anyway. You can't take back
Yeah, he's
what
right,
happened.
he's
But
right.
you
It
can't.
did
happened.
It
You
did
can't
happen, yeah.
stack that up on Trey
Ah,
Lance.
Yes, you can, because that matters within the
'Cause
context
they
of the
wanted him,
49ers
yeah.
draft
They-
pick.
I get what you're saying.
If they traded 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick to move up to pick number 3,
That makes it worse.
to draft Trey Lance, and Trey Lance does not even start more than 4 games for them.
That makes
What's
it worse.
worse?
That makes it worse.
That's
The
what I'm
trading
saying.
makes it worse.
If Trey Lance cannot start for the Niners, then it's worse than the Jets with Zach Wilson.
That's not like it's just still different because you like Trey Lance is a bust because you didn't get to see what he became. With Zach, you saw he was just ass. Like you
could've
literally.
became-
And
what
there
if
was-
he
you know
played-
what?
You're
what if he was better
wasting
year
your back.
3?
Shit, bro. He got benched for fucking Chris Streveler. He got benched for Chris Streveler.
It was a travesty what the fans did to Zach.
Oh
Was it
my
Mike White too?
God.
Was it a Mike White
It
too?
was
Don't
Mike
even get me
White
started
too.
on it.
They
Hold up.
booed him.
He got
They
benched.
booed him.
He didn't get. Brock Purdy goes undefeated. He puts up 13-3 touchdown interception ratio.
Zach
Trey
couldn't do
Lance
that.
gets benched. Zach Wilson gets benched for Mike White, a career backup, and Chris Streveler, who just got cut by the Jets. And then week 18, they started journeyman Joe Flacco. He got benched for Joe Flacco, Mike White, and Chris
he's
Streveler.
legit
Trey
ass.
Lance got benched for a guy that went undefeated and was one of the most efficient quarterbacks
He
in the
didn't even
league.
get benched. till he got hurt.
Right now, who is Zach Wilson on the bench for? Name me that, Dehls.
Aaron Rodgers.
If we didn't
He
get
wasn't
Aaron
on the bench
Rodgers,
for Aaron-
if
You would be rioting.
If we
You'd be
didn't-
rioting. If you didn't get Aaron Rodgers, you still had Zach Wilson. Your city would riot. Your city would literally riot. Maybe not you, but your city would riot.
If Aaron Rodgers wasn't the quarterback, we were going to go get Derek Carr. So that means Zach was either going to be behind Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr. That's significantly different than being behind Brock freaking Purdy.
No, Zach was behind Mike White, the Shreveler dude, and journeyman Joe Flacco. Don't do that, bro.
Ultimately,
don't try to change up who he's behind.
In year 3, Zach is behind Aaron Rodgers, the greatest quarterback
Zach
ever
would have
lived.
been behind Jacoby fucking Brissett. It wouldn't have mattered. Zach was never going to start
better than Brock Purdy.
Oh my
God. So hold on. No. So answer me this question though.
Jacoby's actually nice though. So let's put some respect.
This the question, Riv. Who's a bigger bust? Is Zach Wilson a bigger bust for the Jets or Trey Lance a bigger bust for the Niners
if they
trade him? That's all.
No,
that's the
if they trade him.
Zach Wilson is the bigger bust because he's not good at football. We don't know if Trey Lance is good at football. We just know Brock Purdy is good at football.
If he can get on the field, it's because he's not good at football.
If the Niners trade Lance, he's a bigger bust for the Niners. For sure, for the Niners. But Zach's cooked, bro.
Zach's
he's a
not
bust.
cooked.
He's a bust in history.
He's being mentored by Aaron Rodgers right now.
He don't give a fuck.
Aaron Rodgers loves Zach Wilson. What are we talking
Aaron
about?
Rodgers can do whatever he wants to that boy. He's not good at football.
Did you see that 56-yard pass? That was Aaron Rodgers' life. He got to his three-set drop.
He threw an interception to Camu Gruger Hill.
He's pretty fast.
Yeah.
He is. You ever use him in Madden? He's a pretty fast player.
I just put it on Twitter. Early votes are 83 to 16% Trey Lance over Zach Wilson.
Bust?
No. Who would you rather have?
Oh, duh.
Well, obviously, people would rather have Trey Lance because they don't know with Trey Lance. But
they know Zach's ass.
That's my fault. That's my point.
But how,
they know Zach Wilson got benched from
Give
Mike
me the
White.
mystery box over the
Bro, they booed him in your own place, bro.
Dehls is witty. You worded that question very nicely. Yeah, I remember when you did the same shit for Jordan Love, and you're gonna be wrong about Jordan Love because I remember that.
What did I say about Jordan Love?
You typed out a tweet about Jordan Love and what type of quarterback he'll be. You had a poll. I remember that, Dehls. If you ask the audience who's a bigger bust for their respective teams, Trey Lance or Zach Wilson, and Trey,
I'll put it out there.
He definitely pulled an agenda move. I respect it.
He definitely pulled an agenda move.
I respect it 100%. I would have did the same thing.
And with Dehls saying that, I will only be right. It's easy for me to be right if in a situation Brock Purdy doesn't lead the Niners Super Bowl, whatever. It's not if they win or don't win. To be honest with me, it's not about the end team result.
For sure.
It's about how Brock Purdy plays in a situation. And for me, I don't think Brock Purdy will play well in them situations.
Whoa. You can say all that what you want, but Brock Purdy wasn't the reason they lost to the Eagles. And if Brock Purdy plays well, and he's not the reason the team lose, you will be an L and you would be wrong for sure. So just be ready for that because next season he's going to start week 1.
Why would I be ready for that if I know what's going to happen?
Yeah, I'm sure. Just like you knew Zach Wilson be good. Week 1, be ready. Brock Purdy's going to start.
First 5 votes are all 5 Zach Wilson bigger bust.
Nuts. Brock Purdy's going to start week 1, and he's going to have them in the playoffs again. So just be ready for the next year in the playoffs.
You could call Trey Lance a bust, fine. I hate to do it because Zach, he was my franchise quarterback at one point.
Nuts.
He's not a bigger bust. Zach's
going to
go down in the history
You're
books.
smart. You gave up early.
I mean, I don't need 3 years of Zach Wilson to know what he is.
Yeah,
I know what he is.
I might have been wrong about Zach, but check my track record when it doesn't come to my team. Because when my team, I get passionate.
You want to put a wager on this?
What's the wager? On Brock Purdy?
Yeah, you want to do it?
All right, what's the stipulation?
We could do, if they make the playoffs next year.
Well, they're going to make the playoffs next year.
Oh, yeah.
So not if they're healthy, they make it.
Yeah, no
they're
shit.
Stacked team.
If he can get them to the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl, and it's because of him, I win.
What do you mean because of him though? What does that mean? That's up for interpretation.
Oh God.
I think they can
give Johnny Cartledge a shout out.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
We are. Sorry. In my opinion, they can get to the NFC Championship with Sam Darnold.
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
I swear to God, they can get there with Sam
Darnold. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. They can get there with Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold sucks.
Sam Darnold last year for the Panthers actually quietly played pretty well. He did. Look it up. Look it up.
If Sam Darnold did what Brock Purdy just did, we would have a discussion.
Sam Darnold was also a top 10 pick.
Top 3.
And guess where Brock Purdy was? You're comparing dudes who were top 5 picks to the last pick in the draft. He lied.
Sam Darnold's career year was 2022, where he completed less than 59% of his passes.
7 touchdowns.
7 touchdowns, 3 picks.
1,000 yards.
With the Panthers.
My God.
With Steve Wilkes.
My
now
Lord.
We're saying with the
no offensive
Who did he get? Did PJ Walker start over him at some point?
I think he got benched.
Sam never got benched for his performances, probably because of injury.
He did get hurt.
Yeah. And they were winning games.
Justin Jefferson's a wide receiver. He had more yards.
And I'm not saying, I don't think the Panthers won because of Sam either. But I'm saying that.
You just, okay.
No, wait. I just what?
Yo, bro, Brock Purdy had 400 yards in a playoff game.
400?
300.
Sorry, 300 yards in a playoff game. Sam Darnold's not doing that.
Well, in that situation, yeah, he would.
He's not doing that.
How many
300-yard games does Sam Darnold actually have in his life?
He actually has quite a few.
How many?
I'll say over 4.
Over 4?
Yeah.
That's quite a few.
That is quite a few. Is 2 or more.
Let's see.
It's 56 games played. Quite a few. Are you serious?
Look at the situations. His best receiver at time was who was that USC receiver?
He's got 8 over 300. 3 of them are 305, 304, 301.
Oh my God, he's barely scratching through.
Who was that? Deontay Burnett? I don't know.
Nuts.
The USC receiver that
Denzel Mims.
The USC receiver that Sam Darnold was throwing to week 17 versus the Patriots.
Of this, you're saying this past season or
No,
on the Jets?
his rookie season.
It
was Deontay Burnett. There was a point in time where Sam Darnold's best weapon was Deontay Burnett, bro. He's not even in the league no more. Come on, what are we doing here? If he got drafted to the 49ers, it's a different conversation.
Sure.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But yes, the what I'm saying is that Sam Darnold could do what Brock Purdy just did. Yes, for the 49ers, 100% he can. I believe that wholeheartedly.
All right.
Yeah.
We've spent enough 45 minutes talking
Now
about
listen,
Trey Lance and
Dehls.
Brock
A
Purdy.
lot of hating, and I can't wait to my Purdy fans, my Purdy lovers, and the Niners fans jump on him
Bunch of mid.
because I'm gonna be. Please stop. You're a Jets fan. Because I'm gonna be here.
Just have Aaron Rodgers. You cannot compete with my quarterback, baby.
They just went to the NFC Championship game again, bro. Again.
They lost.
Yeah, and you haven't
They
been.
didn't have a quarterback.
They were gonna lose regardless.
I think
Whether they were or they weren't.
Jalen Hurts is one of those guys, so of course.
They were playing Josh fucking Johnson, dog. Come on, stop. You were playing Mike White. They were playing Josh Johnson in a playoff game. You were doing it in a regular season game, but they were doing it in a playoff game.
Now, I think Dehls has something to say right here because he still believes Trey Lance can maybe revive his career if he goes somewhere else. So make a case for Trey Lance.
If I'm making a case where Trey Lance has to go after this, or are we doing after this season or this season?
Well, wherever it's not
Wherever
the
it goes,
Could be at the deadline, Brody.
It could be anywhere. Trey Lance has to get moved. He has to go to the Atlanta Falcons. I know you're a Desmond Ridder guy. I know he's your guy. But if you get him with Arthur Smith, and he gets to play more than a game and a quarter this upcoming season with Drake London, with Kyle Pitts, with Bijan Robinson in the backfield, Trey Lance is going to show why he was that number 3 overall pick. Maybe he doesn't have the production at the end of the year, the 69% completion, whatever, but he's going to have those highlights. He's going to have those wow plays. He's going to have those rushes that said, you know what? Coming out of North Dakota, that's why he was one of them ones. Unfortunately, now with the Niners, they're not giving him a chance. Get him to Atlanta, man. Watch what he does in the NFC. He's going to win that division, running away with that division.
I don't like that you disrespected my boy Ridder. I'm going to make a case for Trey Lance going to another team, the Minnesota Vikings, NFC North, because Kirk Cousins is on his final year. The Vikings have not extended him yet, and it's not a priority for them. What if they bring in Trey Lance? Learn under Kirk Cousins. I mean, Trey Lance is doing a lot of learning and not playing. It has to translate to the field. Gotcha. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, Kevin O'Connell, offensive-minded head coach. I think Minnesota, those purple uniforms look good on anybody. But on Trey Lance, they'll look even better.
You think so?
Yeah. Blood Green just said, at this point, Zach needs to cut you guys a check because I don't understand why it's a topic of discussion.
Death taxes and Zach Wilson.
He's always a topic of discussion because that's Zachary, baby.
Oh,
and he's always here with his Funko Pop on the show.
Yeah, you've done some
being
nasty
displayed,
things to that Funko
baby.
Pop.
Yeah, you actually fingered it mid-show.
Yeah.
We caught you.
Now, you mentioned something, Rev, that actually, you talked about Niners making the NFC Championship. It's actually crazy. In the last 12 seasons, it's either been NFC Championship or bust for the 49ers. From 2011 to 2013, they had 3 NFC Championship appearances. They lost 2 of them. They lost in the Super Bowl in 2012. From 2014 to 2018, they missed the playoffs. 2019, they lost in the Super Bowl. 2020, they missed the playoffs due to injury. And then the last 2 seasons, they have lost in the NFC Championship. So it's either the Niners miss the playoffs or they make the NFC Championship and maybe even further than that. That's the trend that the Niners are currently on.
And that's because the reason they didn't go to the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game is because, their quarterback got hurt. Just like this past year, Brock Purdy gets hurt and they get smoked by the Eagles. Who knows? If they have a healthy quarterback, they could have beat the Eagles. A couple of years ago when Jimmy G doesn't go down, they go 6-11. They probably make the playoffs.
You're right.
But you know what I can't get out of my head? Jimmy G against the Packers. Brock Purdy would never have a game like that.
But you know what's the thing, Dehls, is that you're right. If the replacement for Brock Purdy was a guy like Sam Darnold,
Oh, my God.
I mean, maybe we might be talking about something right here. Former New York Jet legend, third overall
Go get
pick.
CJ Beathard back, man.
USC, baby. Got some
Great
Carson Palmer in it.
Played the Eagles.
Was that the game he had 300?
I think it was the
Or
game.
400?
He was good that game. It was
Yeah.
funny though. It was just rolling out, whatever.
I just updated. We have 50 votes on this poll. 84% say Zach Wilson's bigger bust.
I don't know, bro.
And I have a lot of Jets fans.
How'd you phrase that question, baby?
Who's the bigger bust?
Nuts.
You see the phrasing?
How would you have phrased it?
He wants to add
Who's the
picks.
bigger bust if the 49ers trade Trey Lance?
I don't think it. Does
Who's
it
the
matter?
bigger bust if Trey Lance never plays
wants
for the
it exactly
49ers?
how he
If
wants
Trey
it.
Lance is the backup, isn't that even worse than getting traded?
Who's the bigger bust if Trey Lance never starts for the Niners going forward?
You should tweet that. I already
That's-
have 2 polls out with Zach,
Yeah,
Zach
alright.
Wilson.
I'll
and Trey
tweet
Imagine
Lance.
you
it.
have 3 Zach Wilson tweets. I'll be honest.
That's
Can't
too
have
much for
3.
you this month.
Oh my God.
That's too much. We're going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks next. We're going to preview them. Are the Seahawks the biggest dark horse in the NFC? What do you think, Riv?
Man, talk about them. They had a great draft. You know, I thought Devin Witherspoon, JSN. I think for the most part they went edge in offense. You know, they did grab a cornerback, but I think this in the draft, like in free agency, they picked up a couple defensive signings. I think they want to bulk up on the defensive end. The question is, are they the biggest dark horse? I think so, because I think when you look at the NFC, we kind of look at it as the mid conference. You know, the AFC is kind of like the West in the NBA. You know, so talented, so top heavy. They got the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, and all that. In the NFC, is just we look at the Eagles, we look at the Cowboys, we look at the Niners. They're in a class of their own, and then we look at teams like the Vikings who will hang around, Green Bay who will hang around. You know, all those type of teams. What is that one team that can possibly go up and shake up that tier 1 and could possibly beat one of those tier 1 teams? I think this is the team to do it. I think this is a team that can do it, that has the talent. You know, I think everybody at this table doesn't expect the Geno drop-off. I think we at least expect him to be around the same. You know, I think he was just so efficient. He just made such the right play last year all the time. He didn't take too many risks, and I think you can expect that again. It's funny because the Seattle Seahawks, had Russell Wilson. He threw for 40 touchdowns that year. They made the playoffs. Then they trade him. You thought, we had a friend on here who said they'd win 2 games.
We had a friend.
Yeah, and great friend. Shout out to him. He's outside
Shout
doing
out to
his
our
thing.
friend.
And we, for the most part, people thought the Seahawks were done. Geno Smith, we thought he was done in the league. He was 31 years old, didn't have his moment. You cooked? He cooked, didn't he?
It's 50-50 right now.
Okay.
Context, baby.
We thought Geno, he was done. Pete Carroll, we thought he was he was probably going to retire soon. Then they have this year offensively, efficient offense. They were scoring the ball. DK, Tyler Lockett, he does his things in the beginning of the year. Geno Smith was amazing, playing like a top 10, top 12 quarterback in the NFL. Now you go and get in free agency. You go get some signings on the defensive end. In the draft, you have an amazing draft on offense, on the line, and on defense with Devon Witherspoon. Now you have probably one of the best young secondaries in the NFL with Tariq Woolen coming out the woodworks and being an elite corner last year. I think this team, I look at the Detroit Lions. I still feel like they're lacking the defensive end. I look at Green Bay. I don't think they have enough on the offensive end. Minnesota, I think that defense will hold them back. I think this is the one team, the Giants, their schedule stuff, they don't have enough on the offensive end. I think this is the one team, outside of anybody, like you could think of the Falcons, but I think that's just because the division's trash. This is the one team I think that can give a run for the money with that tier 1. Maybe not the Eagles and the Niners, but I'm looking at Dallas as that team that maybe they can go shake up some shit.
You think Dallas is better than the Eagles?
He's nuts. But Seahawks maybe can shake up some things. I think this is the one team that for sure could do it.
I definitely look at them because if you have to pick a dark horse team, this is kind of one that you could talk your way into. Because even last year, of course, you had the Rush trade. We all thought they were going into a rebuild. And after that week 1 where Nathaniel Hackett didn't call a timeout and they lost the game, don't kick field goal, whatever, they missed the field goal, no one even really bought in. We're like, it's one game. Seattle has all the hype in the world. They want to get back on Russ. And nobody really thought that it would be sustainable. But, offensively, at least last year, what they did was – it was one for the ages. I don't know. I do think Geno pulls back a bit. I still think he'll be a competent quarterback. I still think he'll be comfortably top 15 quarterback. But some of the stats he had, some of the throws he made, I get you could talk yourself into. He could do it again. But he led the entire league in big-time throws, which is a PFF stat, which is excellent ball location and timing, generally thrown further down the field and or into a tighter window. He had 31. And he also had the highest big-time throw percentage. Nobody was in 8 percentage points of him. The difference between first and second was the same difference between second and 19. Geno Smith was making some of the most incredible throws quite literally across the entire National Football League last year. I mean, 4,300 yards, 30 touchdowns to 11 picks, had the most big-time throws, most 20-plus yard touchdowns with 14. The numbers he was putting up was just magnificent. I think Geno, very reminiscent to a Ryan Tannehill-esque career revival in Seattle. Just a bit later in his career, right? Geno's 34, 35 years old. He just got that 3-year, $100 million contract that's going to put him in Seattle for at least this year and the following year.
Great deal.
Huh?
Great deal.
Great deal for him. Great deal for both sides, honestly. But I do think the one piece that could really unlock this offense is going to be JSN. They didn't have to take him, right? They got Witherspoon with the 6th pick. Shout out to that rush trade. Listen, they might have screwed up the Jamal Adams trade, giving us 2 firsts, giving us AVT and Garrett Wilson, but they made up for it with this Russell Wilson trade, getting the number 6 overall pick from Denver. But I think JSN, who 2 years ago, right, was the consensus number 1 receiver in this class. It was by far a generational prospect. Last season in college, he got hurt, played 1 or 2 games. But you have to remember that Ohio State team 2 years ago had Garrett Wilson, had Chris Olave, 2 guys who just came into the NFL and were 1 and 2 in terms of offensive rookie of the year. He dominated that wide receiver room. He was the one that had the most targets. He had the most yards at 1,600. He had the most receptions at 95. I mean, he was in a unit with 2 other receivers who are probably on their way to top 10, top 15 potential in the NFL, and he was comfortably better than both of them at his second and last season at Ohio State. I think JSN, I don't know how much he's going to play in the slot since Tyler Lockett plays there a lot, but he could also play on the outside. I think JSN in the slot with this offense, if Geno Smith's able to have a similar season to what he had last year, I think this offense could be a top 5, top 10 unit in the league. And if they're able to get that with the defensive improvements Riv mentioned, they could be a dark horse. They could be a team that could sneak by the Cowboys, but I don't think I could put them in a tier with the Eagles and the 49ers.
To your point, I mean, JSN, we view him as a slob, but he said he could play everywhere, and I think he can play everywhere. Doesn't have the explosiveness, but he's a refined route runner, and I think it's going to make a difference in this offense. Now, I was getting prepared to spew a very enticing and convincing Seahawks argument. Geno Smith in 2022, 70% completion percentage, 4,282 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 101 passer rate. Ryan Tannehill was a great comparison. And for all these quarterbacks that we thought might have been Ryan Tannehill, Sam Darnold got that hype one time. Baker got that hype a little bit with the Panthers. Geno was the one that actually did it. I never thought Sam Darnold was going to revive with the Panthers. Oh, you got me fooled with somebody else.
I'm talking about Baker. Yeah.
Sam Darnold was capped, though.
Yeah.
Geno Smith on deep attempts last year, 24 for 51, 719 yards, 13 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, 116.6 passer rating. When you watch him on film, above average pocket presence, has a hell of an arm, was making some jaw-dropping throws across the field, full field reads, accurate towards the middle and the sideline. I mean, Geno was truly incredible. But I think because of the expectation for Geno, because of how much he surpassed it, people got this notion that he might have been on par with 2021 Russ. Russell Wilson in 2021 was better in every single metric, mostly every metric, than Geno Smith. And this is the concern with Geno for me. Now, I don't think this is going to be the end-all, be-all for the season. This isn't anything fixed, I'm saying. But this is just my concern and why I think Geno may drop off a little bit. When Seattle wasn't blitzed, their offense was 9th in EPA per attempt. When Geno was blitzed, the Seahawks offense ranked 28th in EPA per attempt. So there's a blueprint out right now where if we blitz Geno Smith, he gets a bit rattled. The offensive efficiency drops tremendously. The offensive line is still a concern with the Seahawks. And Geno ranked 2nd in turnover-worthy plays last year with 32. So while he was being over-aggressive, that also in 2022 didn't come back to bite him, where this upcoming season, that those same throws he was making that were risky could be tipped up and be interceptions. There's always room for that. And in 2022, Geno played 6 above-average pass defenses. He went 2-4, And in 10 games, he played below average pass defenses. He went 6-4. And here's another nugget. Last year, Geno played 2 road games that were outdoor. This year, it's going to be 5. And last year, 6 of his road games were inside domes. They were inside, which for quarterbacks, it's better conditions for you. The difference between a quarterback playing outdoor versus indoor on road games in efficiency is the difference between Justin Herbert and Mike White. Right. So it's a pretty large amount. And Geno Smith's 5 road games that are outdoors will be against Cincinnati, Baltimore, the Giants, San Fran, and Tennessee. All teams outside of the Giants, really, but I think the Giants are trending upwards, that have tough, hard-nosed defenses. Geno last season got a bit lucky. The throws were jaw-dropping, but he got lucky with the turnovers, the lack of turnovers he had with being safe when he was really being overly aggressive and could have toned it down a bit sometimes. And his efficiency dipped when he was playing against better defenses, and this year he has a tougher schedule. And the running game wasn't efficient, which was a shock to me. Kenneth Walker was the definition of a home run hitter. He was 6th in explosive run rate, 41st in rushes to gain 5+ yards or more, which is bad, and 42nd on early down success. 23.7% of his carries didn't gain yardage. That's almost 25%. That's almost a fourth of his carries. 12.7% of his carries gained 10 yards or more. So he was truly a home run hitter. And if the Russian offense is inefficient, as efficient as I think it should be, if Geno Smith has more turnovers in 2023 than usual, it's hard for me to see the Seahawks team go into a dark horse contender. Also, I think the biggest weakness on his team is the trenches. The offensive line and the defensive line aren't very good. The offensive line has potential with young players like Charles Cross and Lucas, but the interior, even then, isn't that good. And the defensive line, their best defensive lineman is Draymond Jones, who on good defensive lines is the 3rd, 4th defensive lineman, and then Uchenna Nwosu. And if you can't win in the trenches, your matchups become very dependent on teams who might not have elite level pass rushes, but every elite team that are contenders have that type of elite level pass rush, and they have a really good offensive line. So for me, I have to tone down my tone a bit on the Seahawks because I love Geno Smith's season, but I think he might be in for a little bit of a regression. And the running game, if it doesn't pick up in efficiency, maybe that's why they drafted Zach Charbonnet in the 2nd round, because they saw Kenneth Walker, down to down, we can't trust him to gain yardage. Every fourth of a carry, he didn't gain a yard. So for me, there's just a lot of question marks with the Seahawks, and their defense also, they didn't improve to the point where I think they can match up against elite teams.
Well, you mentioned it. A lot of the question marks, they did try to improve. They picked up Evan Brown in free agency. They used 2 of their draft picks on guys on the offensive line. Defensively, they tried to go big, not go big, but bring in some guys like Bobby Wagner, Draymond Jones, guys that are not elite, but still have something left in the tank. And then you mentioned they needed some explosiveness. They got Zach Charbonnet, and they got JSN. So they have definitely made the right turn and direction of trying to, and they still have a really young-ass team. And Geno, like we said, is on a cheap-ass deal. So this team is still in a position where, they can compete, but this is also a team that has, they have Geno, but they can bring in a young quarterback if they ever need to, and they still have this young talent and still have a team that can compete with this young quarterback. So they made strides, but this is the one, I know – you're a little down on them, but outside of any other team, this is the only one team that really has that dark horse tab on them until the season starts. We get into week 10 and 11, we might see something different from Detroit or Green Bay, because I feel like Green Bay would be the next one. If their offense can keep up, then defensively, I think they'll be amazing. If their offense can click up, Jordan Love can be good. That's another team we can throw the dark horse tag on them. But I think this is the one team right now, just on paper, that we could probably say, this might be the one.
Their schedule's a little tough too. I was going through before the show. It's not easy. I do think their offensive line should be better. You have those tackles going into year 2. Last year they were great against pass rushes, 10th in pass block win rate. Struggled in the run game, 24th in run block win rate. But I do think the one area, their defense, their front 7 scares me, but their secondary has a chance to be special. Tariq Woolen, who people push that he's better than Sauce, missed me there. But he's really fucking good. You just drafted Witherspoon, who was cornerback 1 on a lot of people's boards. You have Jamal Adams coming back, and Quandre Diggs is a very quality safety. So even though their front 7 and their run defense is probably going to struggle, I do feel pretty confident in their
That
pass
puts
defense
pressure
from
on the secondary, though.
It does.
They can't get to the
Because
quarterback.
last year they were 9th in sacks, but they were bottom half in the league in terms of pressures. So they just probably got a little bit lucky in terms of converting those pressures to sacks because they don't have a lot of
played the Cardinals
elite pass
twice.
rushers. That also helps.
They played the Rams twice.
That helps a ton.
Yeah, so they will play them twice again.
That's true.
So, yeah.
And I was looking at on
They probably
early
got
downs.
most of the sacks from those 4 games right there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Matter of fact, let me see.
On early downs, first and second down, the Seahawks ranked 32nd in success rate on runs. They ranked first in success rate on passes. So for me, I think that there is room to pass the ball more on early downs. They were kind of middle of the pack in EPA per attempt. But Pete Carroll has a kind of trend where he hires an offense coordinator. They pass the ball more year 1. Year 2, he dials it back. They run the ball more. So I'm curious to see if that trend is going to stop. I think Geno is a hell of a quarterback, hell of a story. Last year, he played at a top 10 level.
He did.
I don't know if he's a top 10 quarterback. I think he's more in like that top 18 range, and he probably is going to fall a little bit down back to earth, even with the addition of JSN. But I love Geno Smith, and what he showed on tape was truly special. The NFC, I have them divided into tiers, right? So the Super Bowl contender tier,
He's going to throw Dallas in here.
the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the 49ers. Why are the Cowboys not a Super Bowl contender, Dehls?
The Cowboys are going to cowboy.
They have Micah Parsons, baby.
I don't even need analysis. Cowboys are going to cowboy.
Top 3 defense just had Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, bounce back year, CeeDee Lamb. Oh, yeah. Buy the Cowboys stock. I'm telling you. And Dakota Prescott.
Yeah, I'm crying.
You're not
You
Mike
know who
McCarthy.
Dak Prescott
How many
is.
sacks did they have on the season?
They were 9th. I don't have the total.
They have 14 sacks against those 4 teams.
Damn.
I
Jeez.
figured that was going to happen.
The next tier of NFC
Wait, who?
teams.
Cowboys where?
Cowboys, in the
Super
Super
Bowl
Bowl.
contender. With the NFC for sure.
They should be in a tier.
Are
They
the
should be in a
Eagles,
tier of their
are the
own.
Eagles, Niners not in a tier of their own? Yes.
The
then
Cowboys are in
Cowboys
that
should
tier.
be in a tier of their own
Why?
because the Eagles and the Niners are better than them.
Comfortably.
The Eagles, I don't know. I seen the Niners beat the Cowboys. I didn't see the Eagles.
You seen the
With
Eagles?
Dak Prescott healthy, really beat the Cowboys and put a stomping onto them.
You've seen the Eagles beat them in the regular season. The only reason the Cowboys beat the Eagles is because they had Gardner Minshew and they still almost lost that game. You do remember that, right? Yeah, I know.
The Cowboys do this.
And actually, matter of fact, it went down to the end, and there's a late game drive, and Minshew was not as good as Jalen Hurts, so he couldn't complete that drive. They literally could have won that game.
Ultimately,
You're not worried about no more Kellen Moore. You have Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy held back Aaron Rodgers his last couple of years in Green Bay.
And that offensive line is the one offensive line that can literally stop Michael
Dak
Parsons.
led the league in interception last year. This camp, he's been throwing interceptions left and right.
Darius
you
Slay's
could also
back.
say that Aaron Rodgers didn't hit his stride as a quarterback until Mike McCarthy got to the Green Bay Packers as well.
But then
can
he
say
also
that.
fell off.
He fell off, but Aaron Rodgers has shown when he's disinterested in something, it really goes
He was still
AWOL.
kind of disinterested those MVP years. He was
2019 and 2020.
He was flirting
2020 and
with,
2021.
He was flirting with retirement.
I think the second time he
the
was
second
flirting with
MVP, he
retirement.
was
The second
flirting with
MVP, he was flirting with
The
retirement.
he had a last dance post with Devontae. He was pumped for the 2021 season.
Last dance it's over.
But what I'm saying with Mike McCarthy, he's giving Dak more command of this offense, and Dak Prescott's
the
one of
best
the best
idea?
pre-snap quarterbacks. in the league.
I thought there was a report that they're scaling back what they give Dak.
No, they're actually just scaling.
Let
up
him
what they
give
give
Dak everything. Go ahead.
Because if Dak got that control, if he's calling out those reads,
you do that. Dak.
you know what's going to happen with Dakota Prescott,
I'm
baby.
excited. Let Dak call everything. Yeah, control the offense.
This is the second quarterback you've been on with Dak Prescott. Carson Wentz, he got kicked to the curb. We know Dak was better than him. We know who Dak is, man.
Now I'm with Jalen, so we're here.
NFC team tiers.
You know what's funny?
Super Bowl contenders.
Quick question.
What's the question?
Actually, quick thing. You know what's funny? I've been through 2-3 different quarterbacks. Dak's been the same, and I've still seen more Super Bowls than Dak. That's actually the craziest part about all of this. I went through Carson Wentz. I went through Nick Foles. I didn't see Gardner Minshew. Now I'm stuck at Jalen Hurts. I've seen 2 Super Bowl appearances. Dak has been Dak. And he has yet to get to the NFC Championship game. Why is that?
He's going to get to it this year.
Oh, this year. Who's he going to beat?
Whoever's in front
he
of
has
him.
to beat one of us or the Niners to get to the Super Bowl.
He could be both.
You think so?
Yeah, the Cowboys can as a team because that defense is scary. They just got Stephon
scared of
Gilmore,
Stephon.
too.
Smitty's gonna fuck Gilmore up. I just
Oh,
want
you think so?
I just want you to know that from the bottom of my heart. All right, we'll see. I can't.
keep thinking that.
When do we play them all?
Super Bowl contender tiers in the NFC, Cowboys, 49ers, Eagles in no order. Next in line, the Saints, the Lions, the Giants,
It's a tier 2?
the Seahawks. I think tier 2 is jumbled up with a bunch of teams that are
mid.
good but not great.
They're mid.
You think the Saints are on the same level as the Seahawks?
I do.
You don't even have them winning the division.
Probably doesn't have the
They
Seahawks.
can, I have them losing the division by 1 game.
But that's like
They can't win the NFC.
if the Seahawks was in that division, you think they'd sweep that division comfortably?
Yeah, they'd win it comfortably.
But then you just said the Saints aren't better than the Seahawks.
I don't think they are. This isn't an order. It's just the tier of the team.
I do think those three
okay.
teams in the NFC, Cowboys in a tier of their own than the other two.
Those are the
But
only
after
teams that can make it out the NFC.
But after that, it's a whole bunch of who knows, you know.
The Giants, Lions, Vikings, Saints, Seahawks,
Green
the
Bay.
Falcons are going to be a wild card team. Green Bay can shock some people.
I don't know. I think that
It's like half the NFC.
yeah. Okay, I'm with you. I don't like that, but I'm with you.
There's
don't
a
like it,
bunch
but
of
I'm with
teams in the NFC that
No, just what you said didn't
They're
make
just
sense.
good,
You
not
didn't-
great.
What you said didn't make sense to me.
what didn't make sense.
You don't have the Saints winning division. You think they're better than the Seahawks. But then I asked you if the Seahawks was in that division, they'd win. You said yes.
I never said the Saints were better than the Seahawks.
They're just in the same tier.
I swore you just
Just
said
because
yes.
in their same tier doesn't mean they're better than
So
them.
the Saints aren't better than the Seahawks.
No, the
Oh, I
Seahawks are a
thought
better
you-
team than the
I thought
Saints.
you said yeah. I'm so sorry.
No, I
That's
didn't
where
say,
I was confused.
no, I didn't say yeah.
I'm so sorry. Okay, we're here. You better look back on the table.
You
I
asked
think
me
you
if
said
they're
yeah.
in the same tier. I said yeah.
No, I said are the Saints better than the Seahawks? I think you thought I said that, so you said yeah.
Okay, it might have been one of the two, but
Watch the tape back.
the Seahawks are better than the Saints.
Okay, as long
I
as
just
we're
want to
there.
make that
All
clear.
right, no, we're here. All right.
But yes, if I were to rank these teams, are the Lions first or the Giants?
In this tier?
Yes. The wild card in the hunt NFC teams.
I think it's more who can you trust to win a playoff game more?
The Giants' schedule is tough. I haven't looked at the Lions. I don't remember the Lions' schedule. The Giants' schedule, I remember looking at the other day. It's tough.
I think I like the Giants more.
I think I lean the Lions.
It's tough.
It's tough because the Giants have Brian Dable, and I trust Brian Dable
Ben
a lot.
Johnson, bro.
Ben Johnson is goated.
Giants aren't a bad team. The schedule's just really nasty.
Well, because both teams, their defenses aren't good.
Saquon's back.
Saquon's back.
You know,
Baller's there.
The weapons on the Lions is what does it for me.
Well, Jameson has come back to like week 6, right?
Yeah, but Amon-Ra, they drafted Gibbs, Jameson.
Am I crazy for saying the Vikings? Their offense is going to be there. Brian Flores can
defense
turn
is
around
always
the
the problem.
defense.
That's
It's the
valid.
defense.
I mean,
They
the
have Brian
defense,
Flores
the defense
now.
can't be worse. They were dead last.
It
weren't
cannot
they?
be worse.
Yeah, dead last.
Be
last
dead
year.
last again.
Brian Flores was working some magic with the Dolphins defense when he was there.
That's true.
I think I would probably go Green Bay before Minnesota.
And I think Kirk's is the best quarterback out of all the remaining teams.
Jordan Love and Green Bay. They got solid defense, solid O-line, couple weapons you like.
The defense is talented. It wasn't good last year.
But they got guys.
They got guys, but Joe Barry's calling the defensive plays.
Oh, but he's not worried about Mike McCarthy calling the plays for Dallas. Okay.
We're talking about Joe Barry and a Super Bowl winning head
Wait,
coach.
what do you
Dehls.
call?
You
Who do you
were
call
like
Mike
12 and won
McCarthy?
a Super Bowl.
Sean Payne. That's who he called
Yeah,
Mike
he
McCarthy.
called
This
Sean
makes-
Payne is
Mike
Mike McCarthy with
less
the brand.
accolades.
Yeah, there we go. This makes all the sense.
And
That's
guess
why he
what?
likes
Mike McCarthy's not no bounty gate head coach either.
That's fact.
I just had to make
Mike
sure.
McCarthy does it by the book, even though he lies in his interviews.
But out of all these teams, Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, Jared Goff, Derek
Minnesota
Carr,
has the better
Geno.
offense than all of them.
They do.
If I'm not,
Better
yes,
what?
Better offense. They have the best
yeah,
offense.
I don't
got
know.
Jettas.
It's tough.
I'm high on Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson.
T.J. Hawkinson was a beast when he went to Minnesota.
He was.
And then Jett is clear. So let's be serious.
I think the Vikings, Lions, and Seahawks
I
are
would put
probably
Green
in
Bay
that next
there, man.
tier.
I'd put Green Bay in there.
So
He's more in Green Bay than you are. How are you going to let that happen?
This guy's not real.
it's no
He's not real
NFC
right.
North. Wait, I'm in on Jordan Love.
Nuts.
I was
you,
in
if
on-
you have to be,
I
be
like-
in
I
on
love-
Jordan Love, you kind of have to be in on Green Bay.
I'm in on Jalen Hurts.
This is the
I'm in
thing.
on
Did you
Eagles.
know that in every single year of football, the Packers are the only team that their pass catchers are all 24 years or younger?
What am I supposed to do with that information?
The Packers can either be really successful because they have Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Luke Musgrave. You don't even know half those guys.
I know Romeo
Or-
Doubs, Christian Watson. I know Luke
Jaden
came
Reed's
out of
a
Iowa.
rookie.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
I
good guess. They all
fucking
come out of
cooked.
Iowa.
Listen, for
Fucking
me,
cooked.
I think
He hated
Jordan
just
Love
now.
will have a good
Call him.
season. I don't trust Joe Barry's defensive play calling. Last year, they weren't a good defense.
Went to Oregon State.
Fuck.
Musgrave, you said, right?
Yeah.
And now I got to really trust Matt LaFleur to get this
Sure.
offense humming. So
Just
for
tight end
me,
with the Iowa.
I'm a little bit reserved on the
Uh,
Packers.
Was it
Kincaid?
Washington? Kincaid? I just want you to know, if the Green Bay Packers succeed, I don't want you to say he was on that
I
side.
didn't want to give away what I was going to say next week for the NFC
Not
North,
Kincaid, not Mayer.
but I've switched my tone.
Of course you did.
I have, to me, the NFC North winner is between the Vikings and the Lions, and I have not decided that yet.
Shocker, you
But
flipped.
it's between the two teams. I'm flipping before the offseason.
I
What are we
know.
saying? What's shocking about
Unfortunately, Dehls and Drew gives you this little pass where you can flip all week and
Porter went to
throughout the offseason.
that? You flipped on Brandon Ingram.
What the fuck? What?
Can we not change our opinion on things?
Wait, where did that?
You flipped on him during the season.
Where did that even come from, though?
It's crazy. You're the biggest Jordan Love supporter on earth, and now he didn't even play a game, and you're like, oh, they're third in the division.
Shocker. Is he a bust?
No, he's not a bust.
Okay.
Why would he be a bust?
I'm just asking. That's all.
Are you nuts?
Didn't they trade for him? They traded to get
They
him
traded up.
in the first round.
Yeah,
He hasn't played yet, right?
Why?
No, I'm just asking.
No, I'm asking why though. Why didn't he play?
No, listen.
Is he behind Brock Purdy or was he behind Aaron Rodgers?
Well, if Brock Purdy did what he did, he'd be behind Brock Purdy.
No, he would not.
100%.
No, he would
He would
not.
come
Get
like-
out of
it
here.
comfortably,
Oh
like,
yeah, get
actually,
out of here.
it'd
That
be-
smirk on
it'd
your
be
face. Get out of
laughable.
here.
It'd be
Get out of
laughable
here.
if he thought he was going to
Yeah,
start.
okay.
Like the coach might laugh in his face.
Ultimately, because the reason why I changed my tune on the Packers is because I
Don't spoil it.
dove into their defensive analytics and they were awful.
You told me
On first and second down, they were 24th in EPA per drop back, and in third down, they were top 10 in efficiency. The thing is that the Packers, I believe, have seven. The Packers have seven first rounders on defense. They're all talented. Last year, Rashawn Gary went down, so that's probably a reason for the regression. But ultimately, Joe Barry is just not a good defensive play caller. So as long as he's employed, I can't sit here and I can't sit here and say this is an elite defensive group. It has elite defensive talent, but as long as the defensive play caller is not
like
good,
they do for some positive regression.
It's just crazy because
Defense,
you were big high on the Green Bay.
No, I'm high on Jordan Love.
Jordan Love, top 10 quarterback. Jordan Love, best
Jordan Love
quarterback.
can
in
be.
the
defense
college
is
What it
league.
there.
is, that's still there.
Oh my
That's still there.
God.
Jordan Love could be there. But Super Bowl contender tier, Eagles, 49ers, Cowboys.
Get the Cowboys out of there, bro.
Next in line, I have the Lions, Vikings, and Seahawks.
Okay.
That's valid.
And then the
where's
tier,
where's your Falcons at?
they're the next tier.
Okay.
Who's in
They're
this
the
next
next
tier?
tier. The next tier is the Giants, the Falcons, and the Saints and Packers.
The Bears aren't in here?
No.
Okay. They'll get there.
Okay.
They might get the tier too.
The Bears are going to have one of the worst defenses in football.
Maybe not. I'll say top
20?
yes. I'll go top 21. I'll go 21.
21.
Yeah.
And then the next tier, I don't know, what is it, the bottom dwellers of the NFC?
The Rams.
The Bucks, the Rams,
All right.
the Cardinals.
The Bears aren't in that tier.
The Bears are in a tier with like the Panthers.
Okay, thanks.
They can be surprisingly competitive.
Okay.
As
I
long
like
as we
that.
respect them a little bit,
I
I'm
like
here for
that.
that. I like that. Don't put them with the fucking Bucks, man. Come on. Let's be serious.
And the
here.
Commanders too, surprisingly competitive.
All right, I like that. I like that tier.
Bears won 8 games last year. Bears won 2, 3,
No, the Bears won 4.
4. My bad.
And
I feel they traded up for number
a
one.
lot of those games
Fields.
could have won.
Oh, yeah, that's
don't,
true.
Don't do that, man. I'm telling you.
1-score games, a lot of them.
I tell you what, if the Bears win like 8 or 9 games and jump into that tier, I will be laughing at all of you.
So Dehls, you said that you think the Seahawks can be a top 5 offense.
Mm.
Do you still believe that?
You said that shit?
What?
You said that shit?
I did.
Well, when I said Bears could be a top 15 offense, you laughed at me.
When did I say that?
You did laugh at me.
When did I say that?
That was a minute ago.
That was a minute
Yeah,
ago.
you laughed at me though.
So I don't think I laughed.
You did.
Bottom or back half, I should say. But the Seahawks could be a top 5 offense if JSN comes in and is the JSN we know he was at Ohio State. If JSN is the guy that was out there dominating a wide receiver room with Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, putting up 1,600 yards, putting up 100 receptions, he's low-key, or he was the best wide receiver out of all of those guys, and they came into the league and dominated year 1, week 1, week 2 for Garrett Wilson, week 1 for Olave. And I know JSN doesn't have the 40 time, right? He ran a 4.57 40. So a lot of people are saying, he doesn't have that breakaway speed. He's not explosive. That's fine. That's what they have Lockett and DK for. He was 96th percentile in terms of 3-cone and 97th percentile in terms of 20-yard shuttle. He is an elite when it comes to quickness and agility. That's what he's going to be asked to do in the slot. If he's able to break out and have a great rookie year, this passing offense with those other guys there can be an elite group.
So you think Seahawks can be a top 5 offense in the NFL? Riv, you be the counter for me. Will they be a better offense than the Chiefs?
No.
Than the Bills?
Nope.
2.
I need you guys to say it louder.
I'm sorry. 2.
The Eagles?
No.
3.
The Lions?
Could be.
He's going on the maybe list. Doesn't
Could be.
count.
The Chargers?
No.
4.
The Vikings?
Could be.
Nuts.
You got to give me yes or no.
Could be.
Can we get a yes or no, please, for the count?
Because we have 4 already. That's 14.
Four
Yeah,
and one
four.
maybe. We have 4 and 1 maybe.
2 maybes.
Now 2. Okay. This guy's nuts.
The Dolphins.
No shot now.
How many games does Tua play?
Even in 8 games, they're going to be so high ranked, it doesn't matter.
I'll give it to Miami.
5.
The 49ers.
Niners.
6.
The Vikings. Did I say them already?
Yeah, you
or no?
said them already.
The Bengals.
Bengals.
7.
The Jaguars.
It's a good one.
Maybe.
Oh, my fucking God. 3 maybes.
No, yeah, just don't count those, right? The Cowboys.
Maybe.
Oh, my God.
Mike McCarthy.
We're not going to get to 15, dog.
The Ravens.
I'll give the Ravens.
6. Not Dallas? Okay.
The Browns.
They could be better than the Browns.
The Jets.
They could be better than the Jets.
The Broncos.
They could be better than the Broncos.
The Falcons.
Yeah, okay.
We're not getting to 15, bro.
What are we doing here?
We're not getting to 15, bro.
So
he has like 9 maybes, bro.
So that means that the Seahawks are
top 8.
7th ranked offense, but with the maybes,
It
law
was-
of averages.
They're 7th. Couple things break their way. They're 5.
He gave 7 flats and then like 10 maybes. So he thinks they'll be in the 7-9.
There's 11 guys on offense, 11 on defense, or 17 games. Lock it happen.
Hold on. Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb,
Geno Smith,
Amari
Smithian?
Cooper, Elijah Moore, your guy.
Listen, I'm
DVJ, Mike.
I am-
David Njoku, stop.
I am optimistic about the Browns. I need to see it before I could put them anywhere
Well,
near
if
the top
Deshaun
of
is
an
God
offense.
again, you're done.
Again, I need to see that.
What
Deshaun.
about
What about Aaron Rodgers? We don't get the nod?
Now he does, but I feel like the Jets are going to be a little.
who else did you think of?
What's the word I'm looking for? They're not going to be that aggressive as an offense.
If Rodgers is an MVP candidate,
Well, if he's, of course, but I don't think he's going to be an MVP.
why not?
You thought on Dallas for real?
I'm not high on Mike McCarthy. I don't think they're going to be a great offense.
And then you thought on Minnesota.
They were top 10 just now.
With Kellen Moore,
Who's designing the offense?
they're gonna be a slower
They
offense.
did get better though, a little bit on the offensive end.
They got Brandon Cooks.
And Michael Gallows.
Zach
mental health
Martin's
is back
holding
to
out.
100%.
That's not great.
That's
They
not
they
great
only
at all.
they have nothing behind Tony Pollard if something happens to him.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
They have Deuce Vaughn.
He's 150 pounds.
What the fuck?
He's like 170.
Oh, okay.
But he's 5'5".
What about Minnesota? You thought about that for real?
Yeah, Minnesota probably should. They
If
should.
Jordan Addison breaks us,
They
tough.
should- yeah.
TJ's gonna be there. It's tough. All right, I like that list. You did 12 maybes, but sure, whatever.
I can't win them all.
You even thought about Buffalo for a second.
Nah,
You was like, you kind of like just sat
I
there.
never know. Gabe Davis,
Oh
you know what I
my
mean? Can hold them
God.
down.
This
My
guy-
goodness. Respect Dalton Kincaid.
He's had a great camp.
Yes.
You're fucked.
Who?
Jets fans, but
Now you're bugging.
you're fucked.
CJ Mosley's locking him up.
Kincaid and Knox right here. Gabe over
Kincaid
here.
is good. I drafted him.
Did you really?
Yeah. I drafted him in like 2 leagues already.
Oh, okay. Kincaid is really good. We have Josh, man. He's on the cover. You saw the helmets?
Yeah.
The helmets are fucking OD.
Arizona Cardinals.
Here we go, Riv.
Should the Cardinals keep Kyler Murray if they land a number 1 overall pick and we know that's Caleb Williams? Should they keep Kyler even if they have a guy as precious and shiny as Caleb Williams?
This is your squad. This is your guy, I should say. Not your squad, but your guy.
K1,
Kyler.
man. One of the best nicknames in the league, man. K1 is fire. They're starting Colt McCoy.
Yeah, Clayton Tune is apparently having a good camp, but not
Colt McCoy, he was really great at college, I heard. He was one of them dudes.
He was
Colt?
at Texas.
Yeah.
Texas, right?
He's been a solid NFL quarterback.
Backup, right?
Backup, yeah.
Okay,
He's been a
okay.
solid back. One of the better backups in the league.
I like that.
What-
He seemed like a cool dude.
Do you know what round he was picked in?
2.
Cole McCoy?
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
I'm going to say 2.
I'm going to go 3rd round.
He was drafted 3rd round. Yeah, 85th pick.
I like that. Cooked. Kyler Murray is one of the most explosive quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, with his ability to just escape from the pocket, get open. I mean, I say get open, break free, make runs, make those big time throws. Like he can throw 60 yards and then run as fast as fucking Justin Jefferson. That's how explosive he is. The situation last year was really tough. I mean, D-Hop was suspended, Hollywood, they had Rondell Moore. Their receiving core just wasn't good. It's funny because it's just a year removed from a team that was 8-0, 9-1, like the first 9 weeks of the season. They were performing at a high efficient rate. They were like top 5 in every offensive category. Kyler Murray was amazing. And then they just fell off from the cliff. I mean, they had A.J. Green, who still was good. They had D-Hop. They had Rondell Moore. They had a good squad. Then everything just started to break down. I don't watch college football, but I've seen the hype Caleb Williams has been getting. It's damn near Patrick Mahomes. Like, I've seen the type of press he's been getting, the type of noise he's been getting. It's scary for me because as a K1 guy, he's got paid. He doesn't have the leadership ability that a Jalen Hurts has, a Patrick Mahomes has. The coaches have been complaining about him. He doesn't have his head on straight. At one point, they made a report that they had to make him read the playbook at one time. It was fucking nuts. The fact that he doesn't read the playbook, he's still elite, is crazy to me. But I think he's still one of the top-end young quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, outside of guys like Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts, I'm taking him over guys like Tua, Daniel Jones, Mac Jones, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young. I still think he is, if not those guys, I still think he's in that middle ground of great young talents in the NFL. I still think he can give you great production in the right situation. Maybe a situation like Atlanta could give him that production with Arthur Smith. Maybe another situation like Minnesota if they free up some cap space and get him with Jettas and all them boys. I just think he needs the right situation. I know short quarterbacks get that knock, that they can't see the middle of the field. It's understandable, the offensive line, like 6'4", 6'5". But I think with his ability to escape the pocket, get free, make plays outside the line, his ability to just throw it deep, be accurate, I think Kyler Murray still has a lot to him. It's going to be tough because this injury could hurt his speed, could hurt his aggressiveness, but I think he's still extremely young. None of these quarterbacks that just came in, I don't think you would take him. You would take them over, not AR, not CJ, not Bryce, as great as they are. And I think for the Arizona Cardinals, if you have the number one pick, I understand thinking about taking Caleb Williams or even Drake May. I've heard a lot about him and going cheap. I think we've seen in the NFL the way to go is to draft a rookie quarterback, hope he's amazing, put a coaching staff next to him, build that defense and build that offense up with that money, Go draft either the offense or draft the defense, but build it up. You don't want to put too much money into that quarterback because the clock is ticking for them unless you have Mahomes or Josh or Burrow, one of them quarterbacks. So I think it's understandable if they want to move off for Kyler Murray, but I do think he's still going to be of high commodity when he gets back, and I still think he's one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL.
99 out of 100 times, if you have a situation where it's generational prospect on a rookie contract, you say yes and you don't think much about it, right? But the Cardinals, I don't want to say they screwed up, but the Cardinals got unlucky because they gave Kyler Murray a 5-year, $230 million contract in 2022. And typically when you give a quarterback that money, your team's ready to win, right? Mahomes got his bread. Allen got his bread. Hurts got his bread. Burrow's going to get it soon. Herbert just got his bread. All of these teams are trying to win a Super Bowl. The Cardinals last season were coming off playoff appearance, not even a win. Kyler did not play well. But you saw the gradual progression since Kyler got drafted, since Cliff was there. And you said you could talk yourself into giving Kyler the franchise quarterback type of money. But then last year you had basically as bad of a season you could have. They went 3-8 with him, tears his ACL, 0-6 without him. And when you trade Kyler Murray, in 2024, if you trade him, because they're not going to just outright release him, right? If you trade him in 2024, it's going to be a $46 million dead cap hit. If you trade him in 2025, he's still going to have a $33 million dead cap hit. 2026, respectable $20 million dead cap hit. If you look back in history, Jared Goff was the most recent one. The Rams took on a $25 million dead cap hit when they traded Goff. So we're talking about double the money the Cardinals would have to put on their books if they were to move off Kyler Murray. And not only do you have the dead cap hit that's going to be looming, but you also don't really know what his trade value is going to be. I think this upcoming season, I know, Riv, you said earlier in the show that he's going to be out 8 weeks. I really think he'll be back by like week 5, 6. I do think he'll be playing football in October. But I think without a doubt, historically, you look back all the ACL tears for quarterbacks, the rushing productivity comes down dramatically. So I don't think we're going to see the same athletic Kyler we've seen in years past. I do think in 2024, he'll get back to that version, but at least 2023 version, we're not going to see the vintage Kyler Murray in the backfield making 3 guys miss and bombing at 50 yards down the field. I don't think we're going to see that.
I only say week 8, though, because you don't have nothing to lose to kind of like wait on. Like, he may be cleared week 4.
Just extra
time.
You
can give him the extra time. Yeah, ass. Y'all going to be ass all year, so you might as well just wait on it. Give him that time, see how he looks. I don't see no rush to bring him back.
That makes sense. So if you have the dead cap hit you have to worry about, if you have a quarterback who might miss half the season, and then like Riv mentioned, all of the other speculative stuff when it comes to the leadership or lack of leadership skills, putting in the contract, he has to do X amount of hours of tape. I don't know if there's going to be a ton of teams who are going to want to absorb all that money and also take all of the question marks you have from the ACL injury, plus the off-the-field stuff. So trading for Kyler Murray, any other team that's going to do that has to be in a very unique situation where they feel like they're a quarterback away, and they could also pay that quarterback. He's, top 7, top 8 salary in the NFL. I think if you have the number 1 pick and Caleb Williams is there, I'm taking him. Maybe, and you don't want to sit Caleb Williams, maybe you sit him for the first year. Or maybe you have Kyler play that 2024 season. He shows he's still that same dude, and you can get those 2 first-round picks because right now as it sits, I don't think a lot of teams are going to give up more than just a first-round pick next year if we're expecting Kyler to be Kyler, but not the athletic Kyler. He's that's a good quarterback, but the reason he's so, just infatuated is because of his athleticism.
K1, man.
So if you're only getting a first-round pick for Kyler, you have to take on $50 million in dead cap, I don't see the Cardinals trading him, but I also don't think you could sleep at night knowing you passed on Caleb Williams. And who knows, maybe they get lucky. They have the Texans' first-round pick. Maybe they get picks 1 and 2. They could trade pick 1 for everything in the world, and pick 2, they could take Drake May, and they get the best of both worlds. But I think right now, Kyler's just in a pretty shitty situation where he has to rehab from this ACL injury. This Cardinals team is going to be the bottom 5 team in the league, so his trade value is going to be low. You have a new head coach there, too. There's a lot of, noise going around in Arizona right now around him. So I think his trade value being so suppressed, it wouldn't make a ton of sense for the Cardinals to move off him for a low value.
They spent a good amount on the draft on offensive line, so they're trying to get better at it. Yep, Kelvin Beachum, Will Hernandez, so they're trying.
Caleb Williams is a great quarterback prospect. I was about to say generational.
You don't want to say generational.
I was about to say, when we talk about Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence's,
Andrew Luck.
We talk about the top 5 quarterback prospects in the last 12 years. Caleb is a top 5 one for sure. And I was telling Dehls very early on that Caleb was going to be that guy. Back when he was in Oklahoma, transferred to USC, working Weiler.
Oklahoma days.
Dehls, I had to refresh his memory. He forgot he played.
You were a fan when he was backing up Spencer Rattler, right?
I was a fan for a long time.
Here we go.
Dehls. I was a fan for a long time.
I'm his guy.
But you know what's the thing? This is what the Arizona Cardinals need to do. They need to tank fully this year. Once Kyler's healthy, I'll tell Kyler, you don't even got to play.
It won't do it on accident.
You don't even got to play. Because we need to get our hands on Caleb Williams. Even if Kyler does play, I think Arizona can still get the top pick. But you want to guarantee that spot. You don't want to be like the Dolphins who they win games late in 2019 and they pass up the chance on drafting Joe Burrow and now they're stuck with Tua. You don't want that. So what they need to do is they need to go all in for Caleb. I know there's discussion around maybe trading the pick. You can get a lot. The Panthers just got 2 firsts, 2 seconds. They got a Pro Bowl wide receiver in DJ Moore. But you know what's the thing? Arizona, if they draft Caleb and they want to trade Kyler Murray, they can go 2 routes. If they trade him after June 1st, it would count the same against the cap, but it'd be split. $13 million they're paying Kyler in 2024, and in 2025 it'd be $33 million. Or they can just trade him outright before June, and they could take on the full $46 million dead cap charge, which would be the highest ever. The second highest would be, if that were to happen, Matt Ryan, when the Falcons traded Matt Ryan to the Colts, and they had a $40 million dead cap charge. Now, for 1 year, they'll take that on. In 2024, they won't be able to sign many free agents. But in 2025, they'll have money to play around with.
Quarterback at that point, right?
Caleb would be in year 2, and I'm looking at Arizona. They have an opportunity to really build the Cardinals around and be a good team. In the 2024 draft, they have 2 first-round picks. One of them could be Caleb Williams because that's the pick Arizona has. They have a second-round pick. They have 2 thirds. They have 2 fifths, a 4th, a 6th, a 7th. They have 4 picks within the top 90 picks. So before I was getting into my Caleb Williams soliloquy, and then the camera shut off. The battery died for some reason because the wire was connected to the battery. So who knows?
This happened last time, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't know why it keeps
happens
happening.
with most things, that if you keep the charger in the
hole,
and it's still charging and it's charged 100%, but you keep it on for too long, it will shut off.
That's weird because I did that all the time whenever we'd had shows.
You're overheating the battery.
This would have been useful before.
Yeah.
But it's weird, though, because I've done it every single time that we've recorded and no problems. Even with 4-hour episodes. But, hey, we got a new camera. We know it's not the best quality, but this will do for the rest of the show.
They want to see your handsome face.
You know, this is better for close-ups. That's what it is.
It does.
Way
You
better
zoomed in on me. I was like,
Yeah. We zoomed in on Dehls, and Dehls was really good.
This is what you do to make your the Joel Moran show once?
Yeah. That's what I've just been using to be on TikTok and stuff lately. But when talking about Caleb Williams, the Cardinals have a chance to really build something with Caleb because in 2024, they have 2 firsts, a second, 2 thirds, a fourth, 2 fifths, a sixth, a seventh. They have 10 picks in the draft total, and they have some young players on the roster that are promising. Paris Johnson Jr., the first-round pick this past draft, Michael Wilson, B.J. Ojolari, Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons, who Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons are finally now playing their natural positions, so maybe that helps them improve. And then Jalen Thompson. For me, if they trade Collar, I'd go and I'd trade Buda Baker as well. I'm cleaning the entire house. Because you're right, Dehls. I think what you said was sound in that Kyler Murray's value might be so low that Arizona would be lucky if they get a first-round pick for Kyler Murray at his contract value and at the current market. So maybe you do play out the 2024 season with Kyler, get that value up. But for me, I think even if you play him in 2023 for a couple games and he shows that he can still play, a team can talk themselves into trading a first or a second for Kyler. The biggest thing that's dropping his value, though, I don't think is what he can do. I think it's just his contract. So I think regardless if you let him play an entire year with Caleb backing him up, the contract is what's holding so many teams back.
How much did Matt Ryan go for?
Matt Ryan went for like a 5th-round pick, bro.
Yeah, some shit. He was like 38, better retire. Pretty mid.
I thought he went for a second. That's why I was.
What?
No, he's fucking garbage. I thought he went for a second.
Respect. He's a legend.
He is
First ballot Hall of Famer
for sure.
There. This offense though is going to be interesting because the wide receiver core, shortest I've ever seen in my life. You have Hollywood 5'9", Rondell Moore 5'7", Greg Dortch 5'7", signed Zach Pascal towering 5'10".
There isn't a single dude taller than me on that line.
But Michael Wilson, rookie from Stanford, is 6'2". He's been having a fantastic training camp. He's been running with the ones. The latest report is that in 3 wide receiver sets, it's going to be Greg Dortch, Hollywood, and Michael Wilson out there. They need someone who's fucking taller than 5'10". You can't just have everyone out there who's just going to be running drags and intermediate routes. You need someone that could win over the top. And I also like Trey McBride, who's back at practice, 2nd-round pick, tight end from last year. You have Zach Ertz there, who's also coming back from an injury. But Trey McBride had a lot of hype in last year's draft.
If you guys need a receiver, I'm 6 feet flat.
Minimum?
Minimum.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Who would you comp yourself to?
Comp Deshaun Jackson. I have 5 routes.
So you're lightning fast?
Lightning fast.
Wow.
Speed. That's it.
Straight speed.
Yeah, I'll either go straight, slant, out route, very comfortably.
You told me your NBA comp was Sean Livingston.
I never fucking told you that. I don't even take mid-range jumpers to be fucking Sean Livingston.
He's George Hill.
Jesus Christ. I am Devin Harris.
Devin Harris. Okay, I like that. Yeah,
disrespect.
That's
George Hill's a 38% 3%. Respect him.
So you're not that good of a shooter?
Fuck.
You're more of a slasher?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're just getting downhill.
Dehls, what you said about Trey Lance earlier, making a case when you made a case for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm making a case for the Atlanta Falcons to trade for Kyler Murray if he becomes available. Now, Desmond Ridder, I think he'll have a game manager-esque season. I don't think he's a long-term solution. I don't think he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Arthur Smith can improve there. If the Cardinals land the number 1 overall pick and they're going to draft Caleb Williams, if I'm the Falcons, I'm looking at the roster we have, I'm looking at the offense, and I'm saying, Arizona, I'll trade for Kyler Murray. I'll take on some of the cash. Kyler, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan, a good offensive line, a serviceable defense.
Trey Lance could do it far cheaper.
In the NFC.
One is proven. One is
you're not even
trending
a Kyler
towards
guy.
bust.
Definitely not.
I'm not a Kyler guy, but Trey Lance before Kyler. Trey Lance for Kyler is disrespectful.
Why do you hate Kyler?
I don't hate Kyler.
He said you hate Kyler.
No.
That was not a
he
liar.
says I'm not a Kyler guy.
No, he also said after the fact.
I didn't hear that, but I'm saying I'm not the biggest fan of Kyler because of his leadership abilities.
Like thereof.
But you don't hate him.
Trey Lance has shown to be a great leader.
Really?
People were rallying behind him last year.
Have not seen it.
Last year training camp.
Not seen it.
Last year training camp, they were rallying behind him. He said, "That's the franchise. That's our guy."
Kyler's not a leader. They were 8-0 at one point.
Oh, they were. That was fun.
I've seen more leadership than from Kyler than Trey Lance. I've seen more.
He's spit.
Yeah, well, Trey Lance has played 3 games. So. No, but this offense, this whole Cardinals team, do we think they're going to be better or worse than the Bucs? I think that's really the only.
I think they'll be worse.
So number 1 pick.
I think the Bucs are an all-around better team. You know, you have a better receiving room.
Not gonna lie to you, Tampa clears.
You have way better defense.
Yeah. Kyle Trask is better than Colt McCoy.
Ooh, I think Colt McCoy is better.
I'm here with the battle.
I think Colt McCoy is better.
Mid-off, I'm here for it. Kyle Trask, I'm here for it. Man.
Yeah, I mean, the defense, this Cardinals defense sucks. The front 7 is bad. They brought over Kaiser White from Philly.
They took our coordinator, too.
Yeah, Gannon's over there. Jonathan Gannon. Isaiah Simmons, you talked about. B.J. Ojulari, the brother of Aziz, or cousin, pass rush he took in the 2nd round, who has some upside. Budda Baker is really like the only player on this defense I'm looking at saying, why is he still on this team? Like, if he wants a raise or a contract extension, they should trade him, get a 2nd, 3rd round pick, whatever you can, and move on, because he's not going to do any good on the worst, team in the league.
Now, when it comes to a new team that could trade for Kyler Murray, if they get him, they're going to have him on a 3-year, $114 million contract, which is less than $40 million annually. That's a good contract.
Daniel Jones is getting 40.
Facts.
Yes. Daniel
my
Jones is getting
God,
40.
He is. Jesus Christ.
You get Kyler on a little discount. You could be buying low on Kyler.
K1 clears Daniel Jones.
Yeah, it's not even a conversation, actually.
Hilarious. He does get 40. Wow, I forgot he gets 40.
He signed that contract last year.
He gets more, but if he were to go on a new team, Arizona would eat some of that money up.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
Because he signed 5 years, 202 or 212.
Yeah, no, like he's getting, for the Cardinals, he's going to pay like $50+ million.
But even with the Cardinals, annually, it's like 43.
With all the is it? I thought it was more than that.
Because I'm pretty sure it was 5 years, $212 million, around that.
Are you adding incentives too?
Nah, just the cap hits of it.
Oh, cap hits, I don't know what it all adds up to, because you could finagle some ways, but
so the cap hit 2024 is $51 million. 2025 is 45. 2026 is 55. 2027 is 43. And 2028 is 46.
You could manipulate the cap hits.
Yeah, of course. I've seen Saints do it 10 years.
Yeah.
So what, do you think Kyler Murray is underrated now?
I think people still think highly of his talent. I still think that he's a premier talent in the league. I think that's like the thing that's always been the biggest problem with K1 is his leadership and his attitude. I think that's always been the main funk. And of course that playoff game everybody loves to bring up. He only played 1 playoff game. It was really fucking bad, but I think the one thing is quarterback, the most important skill, the most important trait for a quarterback is your leadership. You have to be a leader in that locker room. You have to be a leader on the field. And I think Kyler doesn't possess the most important trait. So that's kind of the problem. But I don't think he's getting underrated. I think he'll start getting more underrated though towards the week 10, week 11 when they start putting these rookies over him and stuff like that and putting these other guys over him. I think that's when he'll start getting overrated.
I love Kyler. The talent's still there. I mean, he tore his ACL, like I mentioned. I think this year is going to be a down year for Kyler. So there's a chance that a team like Atlanta or Minnesota, who we talked about with Trey Lance, could go in and potentially get a top 10 quarterback for a 1st-round pick, 1 1st-round pick, maybe a couple seconds, just because I do think his value with the contracts can be super suppressed this offseason.
I'm looking at the top young quarterbacks in the NFL, 26 years old or younger. Whatever order you want to put them in, I'm not really trying to argue it, but Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. That's the top 5.
Sounds like you did it in order.
That's valid.
Yeah.
You think so? Maybe I don't know. I said no
part,
order though. I mean, we know Joe Burrow's number 1 though for sure.
Yeah.
But that's top 5 great young quarterbacks. It's top 5 young quarterbacks. The other young quarterbacks under 26, is Kyler better or not better than these quarterbacks? I'm gonna name them. Daniel Jones,
K1 comfortable.
Clears.
Justin Fields,
K1. He's a better passer. He's not the runner that Justin Fields is, but he's such a better passer.
K1 right now, but Fields' potential is higher.
Tua,
K1.
Kenny Pickett,
Kyler.
K1.
Brock Purdy,
Kyler.
K1.
Mac Jones,
Kyler.
K1. I can't believe
these aren't close. Purdy. I'll be honest. These are not close.
Jordan Love,
K1.
Kyler.
Bryce Young,
Still taking Kyler.
K1.
C.J. Stroud.
You're a big C.J. Stroud guy.
I'm going to go K1.
I'm taking Kyler.
Anthony Richardson.
His potential is nuts, but I'll go K1.
So that means outside of the top 5 young quarterbacks in Burrow, Herbert, Lawrence, Lamar, Hurts, Kyler's basically up next.
Yes.
And the quarterback that you want to take.
He should have been up next, but the injury, team being ass. He should have been right where that Hurts like Hurts was up next, Kyler was kind of following suit, or like maybe a little bit ahead of him, like a year or two ago.
He was ahead of him.
Yeah,
for sure.
so and then team play like shit, lost everything. He got hurt, so I think he's got to get back to that, like kind of like how Deshaun got to get back to his level. K1 got to get back to that level.
Deshaun Watson is 27, by the way. So is Josh Allen.
What's young for a quarterback? Like when's that end?
I think 26 years old or
26?
younger.
Would you rather have Deshaun or Kyler?
That's
Do you have an answer?
It's Deshaun.
If it's fully healthy, yes. I mean, it's fully what I know they could do is Deshaun.
But we don't know it.
Yeah, I take the gamble with Deshaun. I probably 9 times out of 10 take the.
If we're talking, if we're like taking contract into play,
They're both on big contracts.
Yeah, Deshaun.
I think I lean Deshaun.
Yeah. If I'm just gambling, like hopefully I'll gamble with Deshaun.
But I mean, you're right. I mean, last season, I believe it was a debate between Kyler and Lamar. That once was a debate.
For sure.
It once was a debate. I mean, I don't think it was a debate, but I had Dehls over here tell me that he can't be better than Trevor Lawrence. We know Trevor Lawrence very quickly.
Kyler got hurt, man. What
did that?
What can you do, man?
Took Zach Wilson over Trevor. Shit.
Who took Zach Wilson?
I was being a homer.
Like
I said, when it comes to different teams,
Wasn't he like a generational prospect?
He was.
And you still took Zach Wilson?
Yep.
You guys, what's wrong with you guys?
Can't win them all.
we're Jets fans. That's it.
Okay.
That's really all.
I'm done. That's my last time.
Last time
My
fucking up.
last time being just obnoxiously oblivious to all of one of my players' faults.
Okay, I got you. I'm here for it.
For the Rams, do we have any expectations for them next season?
5 games.
Not high expectations. This Rams roster is basically what the leftovers are when you sell your future for a Super Bowl. 2021, you trade for Stafford. Cup gets the Triple Crown. Aaron Donald finally gets his ring. Jalen Ramsey, you trade for Von Miller. So you go all in 2021. They tried to go in last year and trade 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns. I'll be honest. If you're a Rams fan, thank God you didn't, because you're going to have a very high draft pick, I think, in this upcoming draft. But now it's just a team that feels like they should be moving on. They should be entering a rebuild, but they just can't. I know they were trying to shop Stafford, or rumors were they trying to either shop him or restructure, and then the front office came out and said we weren't trying to do any of that. But the next 3 years, his cap hits are $49 million, $50 million, $49 million. Dead cap hit of $86 million next season. Dead cap hit of $37 million in 2025. $86.5 million.
Like 1 year.
Yes, dead cap hit of 86.5, 37 million in 2025.
It's over.
So, I mean, this is a team that Stafford's, barring retirement, is going to be on this roster for the next 2 years. You could still draft a quarterback, sit him behind a year, sit him for 6 weeks or whatever. But then you look at the rest of this team, you're a Cooper Kupp injury away from being the worst offense in the NFL. He already has a hamstring injury. You don't know if he's going to be 100% week 1. There's no more Robert Woods there. Allen Robinson flamed out very quickly. Van Jefferson is what he is. I mean, the receiving weapons, I know Puka Nacua, I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. Nacua is having a really good camp. That wide receiver 2 role is open. They still have Tutu Atwell out there, who probably will never be anything.
You were high on him.
I never
you said wide receiver number 1.
Never actually ever high on Tutu Atwell. Tutu Atwell.
Nuts.
The offensive line outside of right tackle is unproven and underwhelming. And outside of Aaron Donald, there's not much on this defense.
I'll just be very honest. If I draft the quarterback, I'll still sit Stafford. I'm just like, what is the point? $86 million dead cap is crazy. I would say they can sell, but outside of Donald and Cooper Kupp, what can you really get for this team? It's just going to be a lot of draft. Hopefully you draft well, You're not going to have much cap space. Just try to build what you have left, and hopefully they're going to have to tank for a quarterback.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not 85. It's no, excuse me. That's 2024. Yeah, this year it was 106 million dead cap. 2024 it's 86.
What's happening with the Rams
He
is
finessed.
what's happening with the Rams is pretty much is easy to explain. They sold their soul for a Super Bowl. That's what they did, and luckily they were able to get it. But they traded all their picks to go get Jalen Ramsey and Von Miller. Aaron Donald is one of 3 players defensively that I think are actually like notable. It's Aaron Donald, Ernest Jones, and Jordan Fuller. They signed John Johnson, but he's been a shell of himself the last couple of years. And offensively, I think as long as they have Stafford and Kupp healthy, then they should be at least putting up points and being competitive in games. But really, I think the Rams are just facing the consequences of what it took to go all in and get a Super Bowl, because in the next couple of years, I don't think the Rams are going to be much better. Sean McVay could retire and could do TV. He'd be really good at that. So I think the Rams right now are just in a place where it probably would be best to just sell what they have and go into a full rebuild so they can actually be competitive for the future.
They went to the Super Bowl with Goff and then traded him after that.
Now 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
That's fucking tough. So Super Bowl miss, and then they won.
Trade.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, do what you got to do to get it.
They got it. I mean, hey, I haven't seen a Super Bowl in my life. I would say, fuck it, give me a Super Bowl. We could suck for 10 years.
I would still say trade my soul for another one.
Yeah.
Would you trade Super Bowl if it meant winning a Super Bowl? Would you watch Bryce Petty start 32 games for the Jets?
Comfortably. Only
Petty, baby.
Only 2 years. Only 2 years. So comfortably.
Bryce Petty.
They wouldn't watch.
You could trade Cooper Kupp and Donald and get like legitimately 4 first-round picks for those guys.
You think Aaron Donald would be open to that? I think
Probably
Aaron
not.
Donald. I think he'd retire
He wanted to retire this year,
He was,
if I'm not mistaken.
It feels
He's
like
leaning towards it.
This guy Bryce Petty sucks. I had to look him up real quick.
He wasn't good.
Petty, baby.
Nice name though.
It did sound like both Donald and Sean McVay kind of had this last dance type of vibe. Like they were both on the edge of retirement. They gave Donald a new contract. Sean McVay, did he get extended or did he just come back? I don't remember. But regardless of the fact, he obviously your coach. You can retire whenever you want. No one's really stopping you. So even if they wanted to fucking trade Sean McVay, I mean, you could get a first-round pick for Sean McVay, right?
They extended him through 2026.
Okay.
Him and Les Snead.
Word, makes sense. So this is a team that has a few talented pieces, but if those literally they are Aaron Donald away from being the worst defense, Aaron Donald injury away from being the worst defense, and a Cooper Kupp injury being away from the worst offense. I don't think there's really any other team in the league that you could say outside of quarterback is like literally man-powered by one person on each side of the ball.
And they're still bottom 5 in both.
And they still suck. Yeah.
Now, NFC West predictions. I have the 49ers winning it at 11-6. The Seahawks at 9-8. The Rams, I'm going to have them at 6-11. I think they'll be a little bit competitive. They'll still be able to score points. And I have Arizona, the Cardinals, at 3-14.
So I have the Niners at 12-6.
12-5.
12-5, I'm sorry. I have the Seahawks at 10-7. I have the Rams and the Cardinals both winning 4 games and tying it to the end of the year.
Wow.
Give my boys 4 games.
Okay, yeah, that's generous.
No, because Kyler's going to come back week
That's
11
facts.
and win 4 games.
They won 3-8 with him last year in their worst
He got
team.
hurt. And he could have won some games.
Okay. Right.
He actually, remember the Raiders game?
The Raiders game?
You remember the Raiders game?
Not sure.
He clutched.
Refresh my memory.
He clutched.
Fourth quarter, overtime?
Fourth quarter, overtime. I think that was
Yeah. He did clutch up.
He clutched him. He did some shit that day, man.
I got the Niners at 12-5, win the division. Seahawks 10-7. Rams at 6-11. Cardinals fighting for the number 1 pick at 2-14. That team's so bad.
Antonio Holmes and Garrett Williams, bro.
Dude, you don't.
Mr. Dehls. It's amazing what happens when you ask a question the way it's meant to be asked.
God.
On my Twitter,
He's got the only Zach Wilson truthers on earth follow him.
I said, who's a bigger bust if Trey Lance never starts for the 49ers? 49.8% say Trey Lance.
He's not even winning.
50.2% say Zach Wilson.
Just by the skin
Well,
of your
guess
teeth.
what I'm about to do? I'm about to log into the Pick a Side account and vote Trey Lance, baby.
Just to recap mine, who would you rather have? 80% Trey, 20% Zach. Who's the bigger bust? 72% Zach, 27 or 27% Trey.
Yo, Dehls, we're up 8-2 in Baltimore. Did you see Kyle Tucker the other day?
Grand Slam?
Grand Slam
Yes,
home run
yes,
to
yes.
win the fucking. You know what's funny? Our GM was talking so crazy about them. We were getting our ass whipped in the beginning. So he lucky we clutched up and won that game.
We started some dude named Abraham Almonte.
You're
today.
fucked. And we have Verlander back.
I've never heard his
And Vramber did a no-hitter.
I know, I saw that. That was tough.
We're literally
Mr.
in
Dehls.
hot. Dehls, you know we're going to win again.
It's now 50%.
Dehls, you know we're going to win again, right?
Who?
Stros.
I don't know, dude.
We're getting there. We're getting
You'll get in. Are you in the wild card race?
I think we're the leaders right now. We're the AL East leaders.
Abraham Almonte. Oh no, he was in the league last year. Okay.
He's not good, is he?
No, he's a career 2. Where's average?
Is that good or bad?
I can't find batting average. Career 234 average.
That means
82 OPS plus. He sucks. Yeah.
Okay, that's all I need. I think we're sorry, just want to look at the standings.
You're a good riff.
Thank you.
Wild card.
No, we are actually we're second right now in the West.
Okay.
We're 2 games behind Texas.
Texas is nice.
Baltimore has 70 wins. We have
Texas
66.
just got Scherzer.
One thing's for sure, 2 things for certain. We're better than the Yankees.
The Yankees suck. It's pretty funny how all the teams that went and bought at the deadline, or I shouldn't say all, but most, like the Diamondbacks are like 0-7. The Angels are like 0-8 since the deadline. They made all these moves. And
The Angels was dead supposed to be all right this year.
They were pretty good up to the deadline. They've lost like 8 of their last 10 or something. That's going to do it for this episode of the Pick a Side
If you want to go watch us, go
Yes.
watch us on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram.
If you want to follow us, we are at Pick a Side Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Pick a Side Podcast.
Thank you for watching and have a great day,
We'll
guys.
see you next time.